Good morning, Raptor freaks. Like Scott's here Saturday morning, and we're doing a reaction to two games last night for the Raptors and the Raptors 905. Both of them losses, unfortunately. Both disappointing losses. That's why I'm wearing the purple hat today. And yeah, you know, I'm annoyed about the 905, but I understand why they lost. They were winning by 20 points in the third quarter, and they ended up losing by 3 at the end of the game. It's so annoying. Part of that was because they were really shorthanded and they ran out of gas near the end of the game. They didn't have any of the main players, any of the rookies, no Shamshay, and Frank the Tank wasn't even available for them. So they didn't even have Kaminsky. So they were really playing everybody who was available. So there was a lot of minutes for Tyreek Key, Tyler Perry, and Dylan Disu, who have not been playing for the Raptors 905 very much in recent weeks. So it's tough, man. I hate seeing them fumble the game at the end and lose by 3 to Westchester Knicks in Westchester last night. And then, of course, the Raptors play once again, one of these Heat Raptors games that are just really toe-to-toe and exciting and competitive, and get to overtime and manage to lose in overtime, even with home advantage. That's the annoying thing to me. In some ways, that is the experience factor between the Raptors and the Heat. The Heat having Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. These guys have been in tested by going to the finals a few times, these two guys. So they have a lot more experience going deep in competitive NBA levels than our young Raptors core. And unfortunately, last night, Bam Adebayo was a huge factor defensively in the game. Darko citing him as a big reason why the Heat won is, and also RJ saying it too in his interview after the game, that Bam is really good on defense. And he was a factor. He was a major factor. Not only Bam really key and important in defensive ways in the overtime, but early on, it was some really fun matchups with him and Scotty guarding him. And, them trying to go at each other was very entertaining. We'd see Scotty on one play had a very good defensive stand against Bam Adebayo and contained him very well. It was actually very impressive defense. But then on other plays, Bam has a certain bag of tricks with spinning away and making mid-range shots that he was showing off also. So, yeah, it was a tough matchup. And in some ways, the Raptors could have won this game if they knew what they were doing a little bit better with closing it out. I think that the barbecue was fun to watch last night because we had all three of them there, and that hasn't been happening so much since the trade, and it's great to have had like another game with Barnes, Barrett, and Quickly on the court together. And it was interesting because those three guys really were the guys carrying the team at different times. In the early part, we came out with really good energy, and we were really active on defense and really getting after it. We had fantastic energy. We did not come out flat with energy, but we did come out flat offensively. And it was annoying because they were working really hard. They were playing the Miami Heat really well. And the intensity of the Raptors play was fantastic at the start of the game, but it wasn't adding up to them scoring baskets. They needed to settle down a little bit or get in their groove, figure it out, or maybe figure out the defensive difficulty of trying to beat the Heat. Because that was a huge key to this game last night. The Miami Heat did not allow anything easy. And that's the calling card of Coach Spoelstra and the way he coaches the Miami Heat. They really did commit to a very physical defensive game that made it hard on the Raptors to score at times in this game. Of course, the barbecue guys had their moments. There was a little period of time where RJ just goes off. A little period of time when IQ goes off. And a bit of time when Scotty went off too. But I was waiting for that second time Scotty would come around and go off again. And I was hoping it would be in the overtime. But no, Scotty disappeared. Scotty didn't step up in the overtime to try and carry us like RJ carried us in the fourth quarter, like Emmanuel carried us in the third, like, both of them carried us earlier on the game. And Scotty had a bit of a time in the game where he was starting to look like he was starting to cook. He had his little signature turnaround that looks just like Kawhi Leonard. He had a very cool scooping shot coming down the lane where it was so weird. It looked like a animation. It didn't look real. the way he elongated his arm like Plastic Man or Inspector Gadget, and he had this crazy scoop shot. He scooped and he made such a badass little layup. RJ, of course, was playing horse out there last night with some trick shots, high off the glass, bank shots, all kinds of cool stuff that he was doing, throwing the ball up over Kel Ware to get it away from him, blocking the shot, and then like having the high bank off the backboard. Yeah, as Vince Carter said in the announce team, that square on the backboard is to be used to help you guide bouncing off the backboard into the rim. And RJ was utilizing that last night. And that was fun. That was fun. Yeah, there were a lot of little mini battles in this game. Bam versus Barnes, RJ versus Andrew, Davion versus IQ, Grady versus Tyler Hero. Yeah, the matchups with the Miami Heat are tough, some of them. This was the first game that Andrew Wiggins kind of came out of his shell for the Heat and had a very good game since he got traded to them from Golden State. And it was just unfortunate that it was against us. But Andrew had not won in Toronto until last night. It's kind of crazy to think that Wiggins, who's been in this league forever, had never, ever won a game in Toronto until last night. That's crazy. When I heard that stat at the end of the game, I was like, really? Andrew's never won here? That's kind of the opposite of Dylan Brooks and other Canadian guys who come to Toronto and want to kill the Raptors and win big time on their home turf. That's so weird. In some ways, that speaks something to Andrew's personality because that doesn't make any sense. It seemed like RJ was going at him a little bit there. That whole Andrew Wiggins, RJ Barrett talk about Team Canada. And I've said this last year. I don't want Wiggins on Team Canada because RJ plays his position. And I'd rather RJ be playing for Canada. He's younger and he's more of the future for Canada than Andrew. But yeah, there was a bit of that Wiggins versus Barrett kind of stuff last night. And it was fun. It was fun. There's a little bit of Barrett versus Mitchell. Barrett talking about it after the game. The Davion was talking mad trash. And there was a lot of going back and forth verbally between him and Davion in this game last night. And yeah, he dared him to go right. And he went right. And he scored on Davion. It was awesome. Davion, of course, had an offensive game, which is not something I wanted. In the preview yesterday, I said, Davion Mitchell scores double digits and gets close to 20. That's not good. That means he's trying to kill us. And that also means that the Heat have a better chance to win. Because honestly, the biggest problem with the Heat recently with their losing has been they're not getting enough contributions overall from all around on the team. And when people like Mitchell, Davion, step up and give a contribution like 16 points last night, it really does give the Heat a better chance to win. They need more people chipping in other than Tyler and maybe Bam Adebayo. They need other people to help. So, yeah, it's unfortunate the Raptors could not have a good energy and a good play in the overtime. They were absolutely outplayed in the overtime. Right away, they got a really easy basket for Bam Adebayo right away. And statistically, the team that scores first in overtime usually does win. But also statistically, the team that's at home usually wins. But it did not come to pass. I was really disappointed in the crowd last night. I know that Adriana and Monique were there, and they're awesome, and I'm not blaming them. But that crowd sucked last night. They really did not get loud enough at the right times to help the Raptors and cheering them. And I commend Adriana for going down there and trying to start the defense chance like I would. But I do not commend any of the assholes and jerks around her that stared at her when she tried to do that in the middle of the game. Shame on you, Raptors fans, that go to the game and shut up and just sit there and don't cheer the team. You guys could have had a huge factor in helping the Raptors with some extra energy to get over the hump and win this game last night. So I blame the crowd. I'm going to blame the crowd to a degree last night for not helping the Raptors with energy. And there's no excuse. You guys were at Caribbean night last night, and that is a big, huge, fun party. And y'all should have been feeling good and having the vibes, and y'all should have been giving good, positive energy to our guys from the crowd and being loud. Go Raptors, go. Defense, defense. But y'all were so quiet for most of the game. I heard y'all a little bit at the end of the first half and then a very, very bit at the end of the regulation and nothing at all during overtime. Y'all just sat there quiet as a mausoleum with your stupid ass sitting there looking dumb instead of getting loud. So remember, Raptors fans, when you're at a game, you can be loud. You do not have to sit there and act like you're watching a movie. You can get loud. You can say things. You can get energy out there for the team to play better. So I'm mad at y'all fans, not at the people that I love that I know that were in that building, like Monique and Adriana, but other people that went to a Friday night game and took a casual night to just sit there like lumps on a log and not try and help our Raptors by using your voice. Using your voice. If you went to the game last night and you didn't make a peep, shame on you. Shame on you, Raptors fans. You pay all that money to go to the game and you don't even want to see them try and win. Well, do your damn part and start getting louder. Seriously. If you haven't read the memo, you don't understand. Well, I thought they're supposed to lose, Lex. They're supposed to be tanking. Well, why are you going to games then? If you have that loser mentality, why pay money to go see a game if you think that they're supposed to be losing? Well, did you hear Scotty Barnes this week? He wants to win, and he needs your help. So you guys that go to the games for the rest of the year, you need to be louder in the games at Scotiabank Arena to help the team get more energy. Y'all really dropped the ball last night. You really, really did. And I'm really disappointed. It was a Friday night game. Y'all should have been hyped. First game back after the All-Star break and the Caribbean vibes and the music and the good times. You should have been feeling it. But no, y'all were bumps on a log, quiet as hell. And you could hear a pin drop in there. It was disgusting. It made me so mad. In some ways, I will be critical of the Raptors crowd. And if it's a dead crowd, it's a crappy crowd, I'll call y'all out on it. So if you were at that game last night and you didn't make a peep, Adriana was trying her ass off. And if y'all shamed her for trying to be loud and team cheering defense, shame on you. Shame on you, people that look back at her from using her voice. That makes me so mad. I wish I'd been there. I would have stared down those motherfuckers and I would have got them cheering because listen, they ain't gonna stare at me like they stared at her, and that's just wrong. Seriously, why are you staring at her? Why don't you use your fucking voices, you dumbasses at the Raptors game, paying hundreds of dollars to sit down near the court, and you don't even make a peep? Y'all are losers. And I'm sick of the Raptors fans get so shitty at the games and not bringing the energy correctly. Seriously, I'm sick of this shit. Y'all need to do better. Seriously. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and see what y'all are saying in the chat. I'll do my stars of the game, Instagram stories, and the classic card of the day. All the fun stuff you expect from the Raptor Freak channel on a reaction day. Yeah, we got 2 games to react to. Westchester Knicks, bleh. Miami Heat, bleh. Yeah, that's what we're saying. Trevor J's here for words of wisdom. Take time to be thankful for everything that you have. You can always have more, but you could also have less. So stop complaining about things you have no control over. Yes. You know, that's a part of the serenity prayer is understand what you can and cannot control. And the things that you cannot control, well, you got to let them go and accept them and go forward. If you can do something about something, you do have power. Go take that control and do something about it. It's the knowledge and wisdom to know what is what, and then you have more power in your life. Because some things, somebody sadly passes away, you can't change that. You have to accept it on life's terms. And unfortunately, that's just how it is. But if there is something that you don't like in your life, maybe it's somebody in your proximity that is toxic and you don't want around your life. Maybe it's working at a job that is hurting your health or really not good for you. You can change these things and make your life better. And that's where you have to figure out is what can you control and what you can't control. And if there's stuff you can control, go change it and have the courage to and make it better. There you go. Thank you for the words of wisdom, Trevor J. I appreciate you, Commissioner Fun. That's right. He's saying Chris Boucher is now the 10th all-time in rebounds for the franchise. 2065, he passed Mo Pete for that mark. That's fantastic. That just shows the longevity of Chris Boucher, that he's showing up on the top 10 Raptors all-time for rebounds now at number 10. Yeah, that's fantastic. I want to see him continue to climb on that kind of stuff, you know? It's like, seriously, let's let Chris be a Raptor for life, man. Let's get the rest of his career in a Raptors jersey. That would be fantastic. I would love that. Trevor's also saying that RJ reached a career high of 7,000 points last night in the game. He also led his draft class in scoring. It's the second youngest Canadian to reach 7,000 points. Yeah, they went over a lot of this on the broadcast. Sometimes if it's very clearly gone over in the broadcast, I mean, I can go over it a little bit here. But, yeah, RJ has been healthy to an extent. So he's ahead of people like John Morant, who you got to think about how much time John Morant has missed and whether he would be number one right now. So in some ways, this is a great achievement by RJ because it's longevity as far as so far in his career being available to be able to accumulate these points. But I would say that if John Morant had played normally without missing time for suspensions and injuries, he would be at the top of this list. That's just the damn truth, because he's not that far from RJ, and you got to think about how much time he's missed. It is cool to see him way above Tyler Hero, though. That's a good, interesting little benchmark that Tyler Hero's on that list, and he's been mostly healthy, about the same. And RJ's way ahead of him on that list. So, yeah, that's an interesting list. In some ways, it's an achievement, but in some ways, it's kind of just like that's just a made up thing, too. It's not like a real thing. I mean, in some ways, the best of the draft class, I guess it's impressive. But, it's still also kind of like these are just like kind of specialty stats, so to speak. I would say specialty stats. Trevor J's bringing us our Black History moment of the day. Boston Celtics had the first all-black starting lineup in NBA history on December the 26th, 1964. Bill Russell, Casey Jones, Sam Jones, Satch Sanders, Tom Sanders, and Willie Nall. Yeah, that's a great Celtics team, and that's interesting. And the other interesting thing about that around then is that they did have some very prominent white players on that team at the same time, like Bob Cousy and Tommy Heinsohn, people like that. But they went with an all-black lineup, and that was Red Auerbach. Red Auerbach was very much a civil rights kind of guy, and he really was trying to help advance African Americans in the NBA. And so, yeah, that's a lot of that is the fingerprints of Red Auerbach and what you're saying about that. But this is a fantastic Black History moment. The first ever starting five of men of color in the NBA, led by Bill Russell and that great Boston Celtics team from the 60s that won a lot of championships. Bill Russell, Casey Jones, Sam Jones. Yeah, these guys are Celtics legends. Celtics legends. Sam Jones. Wow, what an underrated NBA legend. Nobody talks enough about Sam Jones. Yeah, Tom Sanders. I remember him too. I really do. Fiercey's here. Good morning, fam. Good morning to you, MJ. Hope you're doing well. Happy Saturday. We almost had it, but I'm optimistic we'll get better at closing out games. Thanks, Trevor J, for the words of wisdom and milestones. Yeah, once again, it's one of these games where we get flirted with for a win and we don't get it in the end. And that kind of, I feel like we got either cheated or stolen from us. You know, the refs were horrible last night. They were assholes, man. There were a couple of plays where they gave possession to Miami and was absolutely out on them. There was also some real weird no calls. There's a lot of no calling whistles right now, and people are getting more hurt and hit because it's more physical, and they are playing a little bit. They're calling the game a little bit more like it used to be in the NBA, I'm telling you, where they're allowing a lot of physicality. And in some ways, it's not helping the Raptors, but in some ways it is. On defense, it does help, but on offense, it's not helping at all. And, I get annoyed when I see RJ getting hit left and right, and he doesn't get any calls. But the same thing was happening at the other end for Tyler Hero. So in some ways, there was some balance there. The stuff with Davion coming around the offensive picks and getting offensive foul turnovers on Orlando Robinson was very, very annoying. There were two of those calls, and Davion, he's good at this. He over embellishes. He's not totally having to fight that hard. So he'll do a little stumble and fall down. And that's his cue to get the refs to call it. And they did that twice. And that's two turnovers in the game, right? Like that. And as Alvin and Vince were saying, the turnovers were killing the Raptors in the first half. Then in the second half, there was one makeup call with a similar type of call against the Miami Heat with Kelly where somebody was going around a pick and they called that offensive pick foul that they've been calling this year. Yeah, this was a point of emphasis call. I knew at the beginning of the year because they showed it in the new rules for the refs that this was one of the main things that we're going to change this year is this offensive pick call that they've been calling consistently in most of the games this year. And the funny thing is when I saw them teaching how they call it, well, the example person they were using in the video was Jakob Poeltl, showing that when the Jakob sticks his leg out like this, that's an offensive foul. And that's kind of what's happening. You know, when you set a pick in the NBA right now, you cannot put your leg out in an angle. You really have to stand straight with your legs straight down, because if you stick your leg out like a little bit, looks like you're trying to trip them, they're going to call it on you. So this is something that Orlando Robinson and Jakob Poeltl and the other big men that set picks for the Raptors need to be aware of. They need to be aware of this. And Davion's just a master of drawing that foul. But yeah, I really didn't like the refs last night. They were annoying. Ray Acosta and James Williams are no friends to the Toronto Raptors. And the way that they did the challenge call was annoying too, because James made it sound like the Raptors did not win their challenge, but they did. He just came into it weird, and he was smiling. He was kind of goofy on the mic. He's kind of like, oh, and he's like laughing and stuff like that. And of course, they cut the broadcast, and I didn't get to actually hear his ruling on there and how he explained his decision on the challenge. Now, in the Sea Caucus in the New Jersey, it was a pretty good crew in there to look at it that is pretty friendly to the Raptors. But yeah, we won that challenge, even though James Williams went a roundabout way of explaining it. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We really were so nothing in the overtime, and that's too bad. We really needed the crowd to show up and help them. Just get loud. In some ways, a lot of y'all probably left at that time. I don't know. It was annoying. It was annoying. I really feel like the crowd let the team down last night. I really do. I feel like that very strongly. Let's see what else we got going on here. Mike saying, salute RJ's really cooking. He wants an extension. Laugh out loud. RJ's awesome, man. RJ's, you know what we need? We need Scotty to be more like RJ. We need him to see how RJ's operating and how he's just like, I'm going to score on anybody. I don't care. I'm taking it to them. I'm going to get points, and I may get beat up. I maybe get hit. I may not get any respect with a whistle, but I'm going to take this on, and I'm going to go at it, and I'm going to do something. And yeah, he's my number one star of the game last night. RJ was fantastic in some ways with what he did. Number one star of the game. He was very efficient, and he was high volume also. 11 of 17 from the field, 4 of 6 from three. I love seeing the threes go in. That bank shot was awesome, and seeing Vince and Alvin react to it was just gold, honestly. 3 of 4 at the free throw line. He did hit 2 very clutch key 3 throws late in the fourth quarter, and that's a danger zone for us with RJ at the line. So one place where I worry about him the most at this point is the free throw line. And, well, he calmly sunk both of them when it really mattered in the fourth quarter. Three rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 turnover, 29 points, and 38 minutes for RJ, a -1, which is not a horrible point differential in this game in some ways. Yeah, high volume, high efficiency. And he was the guy getting the buckets for us and carrying us throughout most of the game. Now, Emmanuel carried also during part of the game also. And Scotty carried a little bit in the middle. But you know what? That's the thing. Both Emmanuel and RJ got over 20 points. Scotty, you only got 13 points last night. So you had a second shift of point scoring that you did not put in last night, Scott. And that overlap of time that you should have been doing your point scoring to get to 20 was in the overtime period, Scott. That is when your time should be called. And Vince kind of called you out for this on the broadcast last night. Honestly, he said, I would have liked to see Scotty Barnes take the reins as the superstar and take over the game. And that's Vince talking from his past and what he did as a rookie of the year for the Raptors to you, Scott, as a rookie of the year. In some ways, I was so happy to see Vince Carter on the broadcast last night. In some ways, he's really starting to get on my good books more and more recently because this is amazing. Seriously, I did not expect him to call the game last night. This is the first game after All-Star break. He's just coming back from Golden State and being there as really the VIP ambassador of the whole weekend because of the anniversary of his dunk contest. And, well, he came right to Toronto, and he was fantastic. Vince's insight is really, really good. He is a really, really good breakdown kind of guy in basketball. And obviously he has the expertise and the knowledge from his long NBA career. And I just love hearing Vince on the broadcast talking about how the Raptors can improve and doing a little bit of mentoring for Scott through the broadcast, talking about, well, I'd like to see Barnes do this or this and say this. That's fantastic. In some ways, Vince is showing that he cares about the Raptors being successful in the future. And in some ways, he's counseling our team through the announcing. And I hope that Scotty goes back and listens to the game and he hears Vince Carter's words during the game about what he expects from him as a face of the franchise more and more down the road. And that advice from last night is take over the game in the overtime and win it for the Raptors. And that's the best advice a guy like Vince Carter, who's won many games for the Raptors in the past, can tell a guy like Scotty, who's currently on the team, who needs to start doing that now. Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't going to be Scott, if it could have been Manuel in the overtime, somebody needed to step up and start scoring. I didn't agree with You know, the part of the problem was the Raptors weren't getting any penetration. That they were really held on the outside around the 3-point line in the overtime. They didn't get any easy inside shots, and you have to credit Spoelstra and the Miami defense for that. They did a really good job. The second star of the game for the game last night is Orlando Robinson. Orlando got his first start since he used to play for the Miami Heat. In some ways, much like Davion Mitchell was playing against us with a little bit of an extra, Orlando was too, because he played for the Miami Heat in the past and they let him go. And in some ways, he may have things to prove towards them. Orlando was a mixed bag of good and bad last night, honestly. In some ways, he was very, very good against Kelly Ware because, you know, listen, Kelly Ware was a force last night. He was annoying. He was swallowing up rebounds. He was a real big deterrent as a shot blocker around the rim. And, you know, with him and Bam on that team, they have two very good defensive bigs that are annoying and make it hard to score near the basket. And, well, Orlando was able to use his weight to throw around a bit against Keller and kind of negate him, kind of even neutralize him as an advantage, which was really, really, really good. 31 minutes for Orlando Robinson, 4 of 8 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. He did hit a 3, and that was a very timely 3 that was helpful. 3 offensive rebounds for O-Rob with 5 altogether, 4 assists also, +2 with 9 points. Yeah, he didn't have a super great scoring game, but I felt like he was active. He was good defensively for the most part. And he was getting in there, mixing it up with physicality and doing the things that he does. Eric Spoelstra had big, kind words for Orlando Robinson in his post-game interview. And he likes the guy. He's always thought he's a hard worker, and he gets after it. And he's happy to see him still around in the league and happy to see him still achieving and hopes he gets better and better still. So there you go. No hate from Coach Spo for O-Rob. And where he's at right now. Emmanuel's my last star of the game. I'm going to give it to Emmanuel. Emmanuel was active, and it was just nice to see some of that quickly swag out there again, bombing a couple threes in a row. Anytime Emmanuel starts doing the Skipley, we know he's feeling good. And there was a bit of that last night. 38 minutes for him also. 8 of 21 from the field. His efficiency could have been a little better. 5 of 11 from 3. 9 threes between Emmanuel and RJ last night. In some ways, they were carrying us very heavily. 2 of 3 at the free throw line. 7 rebounds for Emmanuel at the point guard. 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover. A -15 with 23 points for Emmanuel quickly. Yeah, those are my 3 stars. RJ, O-Rob, and Emmanuel. Yeah, those are my 3 stars. I can't give a star to Scott because, as I said, he didn't show up for his second shift, and he was the worst plus-minus last night. Scotty was playing very, very hard. In some ways, he was defensively amazing last night. He really, really was very, very good defensively. In some ways, he was very, very good at kind of leading the team and communicating and talking to everybody and keeping everybody on the same page. But Scotty was not aggressive enough with his own scoring and what he was trying to do on the court. I can take maybe a low scoring affair, but you got to have a high assist total, Scott. And only 3 assists and 13 points. That's not you contributing to the offensive output on the score enough, is what I'm saying. You're the franchise leader. You're the guy who's got to take the lead. And in some ways, like Vince said, you got to take that lead and show your leadership at times. Be a little bit more like RJ like that and listen to Vince, because Vince knows. I mean, you can follow his path as a franchise guy who helps the Raptors win in crunch time. So, yeah, 38 minutes for Scott also. 4 of 12 from the field. Not the best shooting for him, although he had some really cool shots. 1 of 5 from 3. 4 of 4 at the free throw line. 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 1 turnover. -25, 13 points. That's just not good enough, Scott. I'm sorry. We have a certain level of excellence we want from you. And I know you'd be first to admit you didn't have a good game last night. I know you would. So let's bounce back and see Kevin and the Suns tomorrow and kick their ass and show something else. You know, Vince Carter knows about Sunday afternoon games with the Suns and 50-point games. Maybe you could find out about a 50-point game on a Sunday afternoon against the Suns. Yeah, find that out tomorrow. I would love to see that. Yeah, other guys we could talk about real quick from the game last night, maybe an honorable mention. I'd like to give an honorable mention to Jacoby Walter. He was fantastic. He's very poised. And you know what, in some ways, if Scott's not going to step up and do it, if Emmanuel can't do anything late, let's get Jacoby to try and do some of the clutch stuff and carrying us to score. Because in some ways, he was very effective scoring last night. 3 of 5 from the field in 17 minutes. 2 of 3 from 3. I love both the threes going in. 4 rebounds, 1 turnover, 8 points for Jacoby. In some ways, I wish he'd gotten double digits again because he had a little streak going with that. And did he get a steal? He didn't get a steal either. So it's Vince Carter's little record they were talking about on the broadcast where Vince had 10 steals in a row in a game as a rookie. Well, Jacoby lost that streak, and he's just tied with Vince now. If he'd gotten a steal last night, he would have broken the record. And Vince was sure he would, but he didn't. He did not. So, unfortunately, it is what it is. We need one more basket and one steal, Jacoby. Your list, a checklist of things to do on the court last night. Didn't get happened. Let's see. Rest of the team. Grady Dick from the starting lineup. Not the best shooting night, but you know what I was really impressed with Grady last night was his rebounding. This guy was going after getting the rebounds, and he was really, really doing well. 2 of 7 from the field overall, 2 of 5 from 3, 3 of 4 at the free throw line. 4 offensive rebounds for Grady, 10 rebounds altogether. That's a fantastic stat by him. I don't see Grady get like double digits in rebounds very often. Usually Grady's like a 2 or 3 rebound kind of guy. And getting 10 rebounds last night, that's a great commitment to chasing the ball down and helping in that kind of way. Some nights, Grady, if your three-point shot's not going, which it was going okay last night, maybe you need to focus on collecting rebounds and helping out with that aspect of the team work that is needed to be done. That's awesome. 1 assist, 3 steals also for Grady. 3 steals. 4 turnovers, though. 9 points for Grady and -5. Yeah, in some ways it's not efficient totally on scoring, but really getting after it with rebounds. Also, some of the players were getting frustrated with Grady at different times. I think Doc was frustrated with Grady. He was missing assignments and not doing things exactly right in the first half. And there were a lot of people kind of trying to help him and coaching and talking to him and guiding him. You know, we got to remember Grady is still very young. He's only in his second year. And the other thing about Grady is he's gone through different levels where he's gone success and rise, and then he hits a wall, and then he rises. Well, some ways he's hitting a wall again right now. And it's not like the wall where everybody discovers a three-point shooter, so they guard him really closely. They're already doing that. It's a different kind of wall. And in some ways, it's like how do I say it? It's kind of like the doldrums of the NBA every day kind of long season. And as a shooter, you're going to go through streaks where you're not shooting so well and you're shooting well. It's stuff like Gary Trent Jr. in the last couple of years. And, well, I feel like Grady is in this weird time right now where his shot isn't really actually going that well right now because he's missing open threes that he should absolutely nail. And it's just in part of being an NBA player that you're going to have ups and downs with how you're playing. And I think he's a little bit on a down with the shooting right now. He has been for a little bit right now, but he'll get it back. He's such a good shooter. He's going to get it back. Chris Boucher had a weird stat line last night. He missed all of his shots, 0 for 5, 0 for 3 from 3, but he made all his free throws. So he got 4 points, but he had 5 offensive rebounds. So he's out there battling and keeping possessions alive for the Raptors, giving 5 offensive rebounds, not a single defensive one either. 3 assists for Chris also. He was a +6, so he had a winning effect when he was on the court. In some ways, I would have liked to have seen him on the court late in the game. And, you know, I don't know what the balance was with what was going on. Was it the fact that was Scotty not trying to win the game for something? Because in some ways, well, ping pong balls, I don't know. In some ways, it's one of these games where we can feel good about the guys playing hard and competing and having a good chance to win. And, you know, obviously Jakob being out is a huge factor on whether the Raptors win or not. So this kind of goes with the script of, well, Jakob's not playing, we're going to lose. And it's not like we tanked or lost on purpose. We gave a good effort. We played our asses off. We tried hard. The young guys got a lot of good, important minutes in crunch time in tough situations with a close game. So the development was there, and we still lost. Is everybody happy from the game last night? I'm not, because I like the win. But the people that wanted it exactly like this, ethical tankers, well, they could be pretty happy with the game last night. But not me. I want to win still. And in some ways, I'm annoyed that the Raptors lost at home in an overtime game. That's something that we shouldn't be doing. If you're in overtime at home, you should always win. You should always win. That's just the way it is. Mobo off the bench. I was shocked that he didn't start, and they started Rob. I was actually really happy. I was like, this makes more sense. In some ways, I'm glad he's doing this. It shows a little bit more trust in Orlando Robinson to start him, because I really thought Jonathan was going to be starting against Kel-El. But no, he started Orlando Robinson, but that may have had a lot to do with his prior playing for the Miami Heat and wanting to get some get back and being motivated. Jonathan off the bench, 2 of 4 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, missed both his free throws, which was really annoying. That is annoying, Jonathan. You can't be doing that 905 bad free throw shooting on the regular team. You just can't, my guy. And so make your free throws. Seriously, concentrate. 1 rebound, 1 block, a minus 11 with 5 points. Yeah, Jonathan didn't play a whole lot, but he was active out there and doing what he normally does. But we don't expect a whole lot from him. Abaji didn't play a whole lot either, and he didn't contribute as much as he could have. In some ways, we need to get Abaji to contribute all the time because he's just a really good player in certain ways defensively and attacking the rim on offense. And only 1 for 4 from the field. He missed both his 3-point attempts, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 turnovers, a +2 for Ochai Agbaji with only 2 points. Yeah, that's somebody we need contributions from. Is the closer that Agbaji can get to double-digit scoring, the better the Raptors have a chance to win. And him not scoring much. We didn't really get a lot of good bench production yesterday. We really didn't. Jamal Shed was steady off the bench, 3 of 8. I really like him attacking the lane and putting up little floaters and really, really methodical, measured, smart shots around big defenders like Kelly Ware and Bam Adebayo with a high arc over the defender's arms, high off the glass, and then bouncing in. Really, really top-level stuff by Jamal. And it shows that he knows and understands basketball, a street baller, like a diehard baller, that's out there every day playing on the blacktop against everybody who's there, who shows up. And, well, he sees the task. He sees a guy like Kelly Ware with that wingspan, and he understands how to adjust his shot in real time so that he can be successful to shoot around him. And that's a high-level skill, man. And I love it, man. Jamal was awesome last night. In some ways on the down low, I really enjoyed the bits that he did out there, even though it didn't seem like he played a lot. 18 minutes for him also, 3 of 8 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover, +4 with 9 points for Jamal Shed. Yeah, I was very happy with him. Disappointed that Battle and Roden did not get into this game last night. I feel like Jamison Battle could have been helpful for a 3-point firepower to try and match the Heat. Kurthika has released the stat that the Raptors are shooting 38.3 threes in their last 6 games. They're shooting a lot more threes than they normally do in their last few games. So Darko has ratcheted up the dial on 3-point attempts for the team overall in recent games. So in that case, that's when I want to see Battle out there on the court and playing more. So, yeah, there's your box score with the Raptors. Looking across the way, Andrew Wiggins, 9 of 19, 2 of 6 from 3, 5 of 6 at the free throw line, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 25 points, a +8. Yeah, Andrew had a solid game. This was his best game as a Miami Heat player so far. And he shot a lot better. In some ways, making the threes was really key for him. And, yeah, he was just active. Also, like they said on the broadcast, he's a good defender. And he's annoying. He's an annoying defender. So good game by him. Also, Bam, as I said, his defense was fantastic. He got another double-double and tied Ronnie Cycli on the all-time Miami Heat double-double list with 19 points, 12 rebounds. Yeah, Bam was a huge factor. He was the MVP in the game last night on the defensive end and was very, very key offensive stuff in the first half of the game. Tyler Hero got hot for a little bit there, and that's nothing we need to do is have him get hot. And he'll start making some crazy threes and stuff like that. 10 of 18 for Tyler, 4 of 9 from 3, 4 of 4 at the free throw line. He had 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 block, 3 turnovers, a +13 with 28 points. The high scorer in the game. RJ had the most points, but Tyler was second with 28. Yeah, that's tough. And a little bit of contributions here and there. Like I said, Davion Mitchell, fantastic. 6 of 9 from the field, 16 points. 3 of 5 from 3. Yeah, if you're getting 16 points from Davion Mitchell, that's a really good add-on for you. Duncan Robinson stayed off the bench, also a little annoying with chipping in with 14 points. So, yeah, I was surprised. Jaime didn't even play, guys. They didn't put Wackes in there at all. So, yeah, it was an interesting game. Coach Spoelstra did a very good job coaching this game to a victory. And, Darko has a lot of respect for Eric Spoelstra, and it was another lesson for him as a young coach in the NBA from old master who's been around for a long time. That's it right there. Boom goes the dynamite. Fiercely saying VC calling the game is in a much better way than previous ones, in my opinion. I still prefer Alvin and Matt's synergy. I thought Vince was great, man. I was so shocked he was back already to call this game. I knew he was going to call more games this season, and he was very humble. And in some ways, he's doing a good job. Like I said, Vince Carter is a very good analyst. In some ways, he's done a very good job wherever he is, whether he's on ESPN or whatever broadcast. And he's embracing his Raptors roots now, and he's not the pariah, the villain as so much with our fan nation, and it's healing. It's very healing. And like I said, one of the couple of things that have really won me back since the really horrible Raptors Delight bullshit is him wearing purple at All-Star Weekend last weekend and signifying that he's with the Raptors Nation. That's what that message is to me. He did his dunk competition in a Raptors purple jersey. Well, he showed up for the 25th anniversary wearing a purple suit, and he didn't dishonor our team or say anything. It didn't really come up, but in some ways we have to remember that achievement by Vince is a Raptors achievement because he did it when he was on our team. And then, I was blindsided by him being at the game last night, making the effort, coming across the border and calling the game. And I love that he is calling the game from the perspective of this is the Raptors and this team, and this is how we improve, and this is how we get better. And this is what we like about Scotty. This is what we like about RJ. And that's important. Point of view with the announced team is important. Some people in the past would argue, the diehards would say it's supposed to be impartial and that announcers should not be homers. They should not be favoring one side, but that's just not possible anymore. I'm telling you, people don't enjoy listening to broadcasts like the Raptors used to have when people like Jack Armstrong and Leo Routens would just dump on the Raptors the whole game because they were inept and not very good. I hated watching the Raptors back then when we were bad and our announce crew was not nice to them. They were very merciless and they would just absolutely dump on them and insult them and put them down. Well, even with this team this year, with their record and not being successful, like losing last night, there's a grace to calling the game and still being favorable to the team you're covering without giving them dignity is what I'm saying. And back in the day, our announcers did not give them dignity when they lost. They were absolutely skewer them and say stuff. And it was, in some ways it was teaching Raptors fans not to respect the Raptors, honestly. So having Vince, somebody who's very much disrespected the Raptors franchise in different ways in the past, come back around, heal the wound, fix things with the crowd and the people, and come back and be able to be embracing his Raptor roots and be fully like, I'm a Raptor alumni. I'm a Raptor dunk champion. I'm a Raptor history person that's important, so important. My jerseys in the rafters is so good. So good. And, there were times where Vince was very quiet during the announcement last night. It was more Alvin and Matt, like you're saying. And, but yeah, Vince was, I'm really happy with what he's been doing in our broadcast booth this year. He really has been fantastic. And he's definitely an addition. I don't think that he's annoying. I think that he really does enhance the broadcast. And part of it is because of the back and forth between him and Alvin, that, they have such a good friendship. In some ways, Alvin's able to rib on him on the air, and Vince is being the bigger person and kind of going with the flow and stuff like that. So yeah, that wearing the purple suit, coming back and calling our games like this, and apologizing for not being there for the Dunkiversary, Vince. You're scoring points with the Raptor Freak right now, and I'm proud of you, man. You're a badass announcer. You're one of the best in the league, honestly. You really are. Vince Carter is one of the best analysts of basketball on TV right now. He really is. And he can call anything. And the insight he's giving is so fantastic. Seriously, it's high-level stuff. This isn't like popcorn, like candy-coated stuff. This is adult, high-level basketball kind of knowledge and play stuff that he is talking about on the call, which is fantastic. Trevor's saying Wiggins out of bio hero was very emotional in the press interview after the overtime win. Yeah, they've been losing a lot. And in some ways, the exit of Jimmy has made them maybe worry about confidence. And, he's such a huge part of what they were character-wise until this trade. And, they have to find themselves again. And, the All-Star break's long and there's a lot of uncertainty. And in some ways they felt like they're in a weird place. And, getting a win like last night helps. It helps with camaraderie. It helps with their energy and how they feel. We won't play them again for the rest of the year. They won the season series 3-1. And now they are really in a weird place where they've got to figure out where they're going to land at the end of the year, whether it's going to be in the playoffs, which they have an outside chance to do, but it's most likely going to be a play-in spot. And that's the thing. If they're going to get out of the play-in and get in the playoffs, they need to get going right now. And in some ways, the leadership shown by Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo last night was very crucial to blazing the forward path for that team and what they got coming up. So that's interesting. They were emotional. They've been sick of losing is what it is. And they finally got a win, and the Raptors helped them out. Stargate saying Vince was actually very good last night with his commentary. Also, as for the game, it looked like another pulling punches again in the overtime, in my opinion. Yeah, specifically Scott. Like, I don't understand how he does a disappearing act like this. Like, in some ways, this is the thing. You're in overtime, Scott. At least let's let the ball go through your hands. But it didn't seem like he even held the ball hardly at all in overtime, even just touching the ball. It's weird. It was very heavy on RJ, which is fine because he was the hot hand and he was the one who was having the most success with getting baskets for us. But it was weird how Scotty just kind of homered into the bush at the end of the game. And I'm like, where the hell were you, Scott? Maybe that was part of the script. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe that was part of the script. In some ways, it's like, man, why didn't we just win in a regulation and just win the game? Either way, once again, Raptors fans, we're not getting too upset about anything because losing is winning and winning is winning because winning is always winning. Stargate, always good to see you, man. I totally agree. Vince was top notch, 10 out of 10 last night. Vince, you going to come here and get your grades? Well, 10 out of 10, my guy. Yeah, you guys can be awkward at times. I know it's tough with a 3-man crew to do that. It's a natural ping pong back and forth between a 2-man crew, but a 3-man crew can be a little bit awkward at times because different people want to talk at the same time and they're kind of wanting to jump in different places. But yeah, Vince was awesome. He really was. He adds to the broadcast. He doesn't take away from it. And the acumen and the experience and the knowledge and the delivery also. He's very, very eloquent at saying this stuff. He may not be good at talking about himself, but he's definitely good about basketball. I'm talking about basketball. That's right. Tristan Trace here. Why are we booing Davion? Who booed Davion? I don't know. Did somebody boo Davion last night? Who was booing Davion? I wouldn't boo him. I was just saying that, like, if he kicked our butt, like if he scored a bunch of points, yeah, it's a revenge game. He's coming back at us. And that there was a bit of that factor. There definitely was a lot of trash talking between Davion and RJ Barrett last night. Yeah. And, you saw him trying to guard Emmanuel. And Emmanuel was trying to really just shake Mitchell off. I mean, he had a lot of practice having to go against him in practice this year. And, that quickly Davion Mitchell matchup right from the start was very, very interesting to watch because Davion's just like that with the way he guards people. And Emmanuel likes the challenge. And I like how Emmanuel got his swagger going and he did get away and he started bombing some threes. Emmanuel can score real fast, a lot of points real fast. And like I said, out of all the Raptors, he has the most green light out of anybody to shoot anything at any time from me because he's a crazy good shooter in all kinds of ways. Fiercely saying, fun fact, Adebayo, Aja Wilson are dating. Yeah, Michael Grange tweeting that he ran into Aja Wilson at the game last night, 3-time MVP of the WNBA and champion of the Las Vegas Aces, who is partnered with Bam Adebayo. So she was traveling here with him and was at courtside last night. We had a couple of VIPs around the court last night. GSP was in the house. And, of course, the brand new GM of the Toronto Tempo, Monica Rogers, getting the interview at courtside with Savannah Hamilton and also sitting at courtside with her husband and getting introduced to the crowd as a red carpet welcome. Good stuff. And, of course, Teresa was there also. And they were wearing their Tempo Roots jackets. Fantastic stuff there. And I love to see the cross promotion and the support from the Sportsnet crew of Matt and Alvin and Vince for our WNBA team that's coming down the line. Yeah, that was interesting. Also, Fiercely saying on another note, Miami's defense was tough in the fourth quarter and overtime when shots weren't falling in. Broadcast said Raptors had to turn it up a notch on defense. Yeah, and I think that the difference between this Miami game and Miami games in the past couple of years, like the triple overtime, all the great classic battles that Miami Heat and the Toronto Raptors have had in games in recent years, is that our experience level has dropped off the cliff. compared to those other teams. When we battled the Miami Heat in recent years, Jimmy Butler would be there, but so would be people like Pascal Siakam or OG Anunoby. And in some ways, that is part of the factor of what happened last night and why we lost. Is if we had people like Fred, Pascal, or OG, we would win this game last night because they know how to handle the overtime with a little bit more experience and time in the NBA. And that's the difference. The battle was there. Very, very even matchup between the Raptors and the Heat. And, well, the experience was a factor. And Spoelstra's direction on how to guard us at the end of the game was huge and key. Bam Adebayo, the leader on that. Definitely. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. RJ, he could run through a brick wall and the basketball would go in. I'm just saying, that's how it is for him. He could run through it. And some of his stuff was so awesome, man. So confident. He's such a baller. He takes it right to them, and miraculously the ball will go in all kinds of weird-ass ways. Did you see that shot Grady made with the spin around on the hoop, and it fell in? That's a shooter's spin. You know, some people, if you play a golf video game, the game I used to like to play was Hot Shots Golf on PlayStation back in the day. They had big cartoony characters, and you hit the golf, and you could get hole-in-one. You could do trick shots on that. And if you hit the controller in a certain way, it'll make the ball have special spins, and some of those spins will make the ball land on the putting green and roll right into the hole. Well, Grady had one of those shots last night. It's a real spin, real shooter spin. And they would say, "Oh, the rim's very forgiving." No. This is just like Kawhi's shot. If the shooter has a certain kind of way they put the ball off their hands with the spin and the English, the ball has a much better chance to fall in. And boy, as Vince and Alvin said, that ball touched every part of the rim on that one corner three by Grady. And I was like, oh, man, I hope it goes in. And it was like looking like it wasn't. It was kind of like the Kawhi shot. It was like, oh, come around on the back of the iron, and then fall in like that. That was cool. That was one of those hot shots, super shots, spin shots from the old golf video game to me. That's what it looked like to me. You know, it would have had a little like blue flame around it or something like that. If you play that game, you know what I'm talking about right there. Yeah, I love that little shot by Grady and the way it fell in. It's pretty cool. Fiercely saying it, Tristan, I heard booing when he was at the free throw line, but I'm hoping people had enough class not to boo him on other instances. It doesn't matter. You know, people, I don't know why they boo him because he left on good terms and we love him and he knows we love him too. And after the game, he was signing autographs and he wasn't like, you know, I think that there was maybe a little smattering of dumb fans that just think because he's a former player, they need to boo him. Look, this isn't Tracy McGrady. This isn't Vince Carter. This isn't Goran Dragic. No, you don't need to do this, Raptors fans that were confused and thought that they needed to boo a former player named Davion Mitchell. No, he's on good standing with us. It's crazy because some of these half-year Raptors like Dennis Schroeder, Davion Mitchell, I love them. They're beloved. And I don't get why somebody would boo Davion Mitchell. If anyone's doing that and putting their energy with their voice like that at the arena and not cheering for the Raptors, you're idiots. And it's annoying. Anybody who was booing Davion's an idiot. Seriously, there's no reason to boo Davion Mitchell just because he was talking trash with RJ and going back and forth. Was that why y'all were booing him? No, he's not a villain. He's a badass. He's a hardworking guy, and I respect him. And in some ways, people that booing Davion, you're not understanding basketball, and you're casuals, obviously. That don't make no sense to me at all, man. That doesn't make any sense. Stargate saying that fiercely, that's common knowledge about Bam and Aja. It's all over the place. Heck, I think Lex even commented on once before. Yeah, I was aware of their relationship from before. I think that they've been together, like they were together last year at the Olympics on the down low. You know, both of their teams were in Paris, so romantic. They're winning gold medals. You know, that's the life. American Olympic champions, Aja Wilson and Bam Adebayo, power couple in basketball. Yeah, I think they've been together for a while, and I'm pretty sure I remember them being together last year during the Olympics in the summer. So let's keep going. Fiercely saying, why were Wiggins, Bam, and Hero so emotional about winning? Were they in a losing streak? Yes. They had lost 6 out of their last 8. They had been losing like us in the last few games since Jimmy got traded. So they were lost. And the fallout of Butler leaving, they're trying to figure out things. And Andrew Wiggins wasn't fitting right yet. So he fit way better last night. He did. He fit better. Yeah. That's pretty much what it is. I don't think they're like crying or anything, but they're just like, oh, thank God we finally won. I mean, we say things that they were so emotional. I mean, you may go watch the interview and you'd be like, yeah, they're not that emotional. I mean, seriously, I don't know. I don't know who's calling me right now. I'm going to ignore the phone. Let's see. Tristan saying fiercely still surprised me. Still surprised me. Yeah, they were feeling emotional. Well, I mean, that's the NBA is tough, man. You don't like losing. And when you finally get the relief of winning again, it can be very cathartic. It can be very, very like, oh, thank God we won again. And we need to get that feeling too. Now, tomorrow's the Suns, and the Suns are in a mess. Holy crap. The mutiny is on. Kevin Durant has publicly bashed Mike Budenholzer in the press now and says that his defense sucks and he doesn't want to follow it anymore. So everything's going out the window with the Phoenix Suns. So tomorrow I'll have the preview with the ref report and the latest lineup news, and we'll see exactly where the Phoenix Suns are because they're not in a good place. They're not in a good place themselves. Yeah. Yeah. Oops, Stargate, my bad. It's all good. Don't worry about it. I mean, everybody comes to knowledge at different times, and ignorance to facts or things that are happening. Once you get to it, it doesn't matter. It's just, hey, you were helping us out by leaving that little tidbit of information, and I appreciate it. It's not a big deal at all. There you go. Kaz is saying good morning to everyone. Good morning to Kaz. Good to see Kaz, the trucker Kaz, in the house. And let's see, Wayne Strainer is here. Good to see Wayne Strainer. Let's see what he's got to say today. Morning, Raptor Freaks. My only comment is I'm missing Jakob Poeltl. Our presence in the paint is kind of pathetic. Orlando, whether you can or not, we don't need you taking three-pointers. Get back, Jakob. Yeah, I mean, he did hit that one, which was crucial and helpful. But I agree. I think that everybody thinking all positions need to shoot threes is not right. I think that they talked about this on the broadcast a little bit about how all teams need to be shooting threes, and that's just not enough of people in the league for this. And some teams have to have different kind of strategies for how they do things, and they can't just be so 3-point oriented. Because in some ways, if everybody's just trying to do the same thing, well, there's not everybody's going to have the personnel to do it at the same level. But like they said, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because the 3-point shot's so important, and it is extra points. So it's a tough thing. You know what I will criticize Orlando on, and they talked about this. Vince was very clear about this, is going up strong. Early in the game, he kind of pussyfooted around the basket, and he should have been coming up stronger and throwing it down in the middle all there. In some ways, they needed him to establish presence at the basket. And the reverse of things, you can look at what they were doing with Kelly Ware. Kelly Ware got a couple of lobs tossed to him from Davion Mitchell early in the game, and we broke them up. Very, very expertly defended by people like Grady Dick and Scotty Barnes and the guys out there to stop Davion throwing these lobs to Kellel, who's trying to go up and get him. Both times they tried to do that, the play got screwed up by the Raptors defense, which was awesome. But that's the thing. Kellel was coming at the basket strong. And that charge that Chris took, which was the challenge, that was a huge play right there, because in some ways they were trying to establish rim dominance and coming in and trying to throw it down on us, and we were getting away. We were taking charges, and we were stymieing big lob plays that they were trying to accomplish. Now, on our end of the floor, we needed somebody with that energy like Ware coming out the basket like that. Scotty was doing it to a degree, but it was more on shots. RJ doing it to a degree. But we needed Orlando to step up and jump higher and throw it down harder and really try and convert and become more of an inside presence. And Vince Carter was challenging him to do that during the broadcast last night. And I agree with that. I think that in some ways, Orlando is too sheepish as far as taking his body, his big body, and forcing the ball into the hoop whenever he's near there and he has the ball. So that I'll agree with that right there. I will agree with that. And yes, Jakob Poeltl is a difference maker for the Raptors. We win more when he's in the lineup, and hopefully he will be healthy and back tomorrow. Hopefully he will. G saying Wiggins' first ever win in Toronto. Did I hear that correctly? After 11 years? Yes. Yes. We've got to remember that Wiggins was on Minnesota for most of his career until Golden State. And much like Cat had never won in Toronto, and Minnesota had never won in Toronto for like the longest time. And Cat had finally won in Toronto with New York earlier this season for the first time in his career. So this checks, because the Timberwolves don't win in Toronto. And that's why Andrew had not won in Toronto yet. And you also got to think, when the Warriors show up here in recent years, they don't play their whole team. They play like half their team. Draymond always sits, and some of them don't even come across the border. And usually the Warriors use this game as a game where they don't care if they win or not. And often we beat Golden State in Toronto. So that's part of it right there too, with his part of his career. And also he missed a lot of games in Toronto because of weird stuff. Like, I mean, how many years was he on the Warriors? He was on the Warriors for like 3 years just now. Yeah, so the Warriors have lost consistently in Toronto the last few years. They lost again this year when they came here. And yeah, they since the pandemic, Warriors lose in Toronto whenever they visit here. Let's see. Wayne's saying ticket holders are just not fans. I look at these people and they're just there to be seen and not participate. People who go to a dance party and want to play a board game are boring. I don't mind playing board games, but I mean, it's like me in middle school. That just made me flashback to like a middle school dance at the rec center in my neighborhood, and they have the big basketball court all dimly lit with a DJ, and they're playing slow jams from the 90s, like Boys to Men and stuff like that. And I'm in the other room in the game room playing Sorry with some other nerds that aren't even out there dancing. Yeah, that may have been me, what you're talking about right there. But yeah, I agree with this. I mean, in some ways, that crowd was really disappointing last night. And honestly, the Caribbean night crowd has been so good in the last few years. I expected it to be on fire, and it was such a disappointment. I'm telling you, these people did not bring it right. I don't know what's going on. Maybe the cold and all the snow in Toronto has just got everybody frozen up, and they're just not energized or heated up crowd wise. Because yeah, y'all were really bad last night, and I don't fault Monique. I don't fault Adriana because I know they tried to do their part. It's the rest of the crowd overall. Yeah, Stargate saying no worries, Fierce. He just pointed out it isn't exactly a secret. Yeah. Well, in some ways, like I remember it from before, but I had forgotten about it. And well, it's cool to see she's here supporting him in Toronto on the road. Maybe in the off season he's following her around in her WNBA schedule. So who knows? We'll have to see. Let's see. Trevor saying Toronto Tempo new general manager was at the game with her husband. Looks like they enjoyed it. Yeah, it's good to see Monica there, and I can't wait to get this thing going. It's so far off still that we will really do have to wait. But they're building up the anticipation, building up the excitement, and people are going to get more and more into it. Hopefully, the closer we get to it, and we'll see some really good stuff. Let's do the Instagram stories, talking about the Tempo real quick. There's Monica right there on Teresa's Instagram in the chair with Toronto Tempo's general manager, Monica Wright Rogers. Very, very, very cool. They had their dinner at the All Way the other night, Make Way or whatever. And they had an intimate welcome dinner for the GM. And the guests included women who are leading basketball from the community and sports business world. So they were very happy to host them, the Make Way restaurant. And that was that very fancy dinner that people were saying, oh, I wish I could have ate some of that food. It looks good. So there you go. There she is at courtside with her husband and her Tempo jacket, wearing the Tempo colors. Very, very cool. Eugene Omaroi posting from last night's game, some highlights of him. He got 11 points in the first quarter. We'll go over the box score for the 905 after the Instagram stories. I'll do my stars of the game for that game soon. Yeah, AJ Lawson and Eugene both getting 20, 25 and 26 points last night. And also, you saying this right now on his Instagram, don't link my name to no bullshit. I'm getting money and minding my business. All right? So don't be making rumors about Eugene. And he's cool. Everything's fine. He's busting his butt for the Raptors 905. And, well, they lost in Westchester last night. There's Grady. We're raising his hand up. He was smiling real big after he made that trick shot. And people were kind of like going, whoa, like the spinny shot. He's like, oh, he's like, thank you. He said, thank you to the Lord above for that shot falling in. Like I said, Grady's going through a little bit of a time right now where he is slumping a little bit. And this is always going to happen with shooters in the NBA. There's going to be a little bit of slumping times here and there. Wubbs, with his picture coming in the game, looking so even more grown up as the year goes on. He looks like a good student. To me, Jacoby Walter looks like a 19-year-old college student that's in college classes coming to class. And, well, his class is called the NBA. And his teacher is Darko. He's coming in, and he's got his rookie bag hidden like it's a book. He's saying, but he's carrying it. It's there. He's not showing it and presenting it like he usually does, though, in this picture. Let's see. Norman Powell's got some amazing gear for Understand the Grind, and he's got very attractive models wearing it. So if you want to check out the Understand the Grind gear, go check out Norman Powell's Instagram story. Fantastic stuff from Norm. Yeah, good stuff. Understand the Grind gear. It's good. Yeah. He's also with Skechers now, guys. Apparently, Norman Powell is signed a contract with Skechers, a brand not known for their basketball shoes. Is because he talked to Terrence Mann and they got him involved. And now Understand the Grind is going to be a part of Skechers, is what they're saying right here. AJ Lawson with some highlights from the things yesterday. There he is with a dunk from the Westchester game last night. Really good in transition. AJ was really, really good last night. Honestly, was one of the bright spots for the Raptors 905. Yeah, that when he dunks, man, he really does take off and flies because he kind of just hangs in the air and then he just like throws it down. He glides through the air. It's very cool to see AJ dunk it in transition. Yeah, let's see. Raptors 905 highlights from the game last night. Yes, too bad. They were winning at the end of the third quarter, 87-81, but then they ended up losing by 3. So the Westchester Knicks outscored them by 9 in the fourth quarter. That is no good to me. That's what I'm saying. Let's see. Slim Duck's got, sometimes you have to laugh at yourself and to perform my functions in my office. I'm not sure what this lady said, but she said something goofy and you say, you just got to laugh at yourself sometimes. And some guys rapping some Kendrick mashup or something. I don't know what's going on there exactly. Siakam walking into the game for the Pacers. There he is with a big smile in that Indiana jersey. So let's go 43. Let's carry the Pacers deep into the playoffs, Siakam. Raptors Nation still loves you, man. And Tempo has a new box out with Sephora. It's a special limited edition Sephora Tempo crossover. And you get a special Sephora bag and also a special Sephora Toronto Tempo hat. So this is out, limited edition. If anybody's interested in some specific Sephora Tempo swag, there is a gift box out with some of that stuff out there. There's your Raptors Instagram check with both the teams, the tempo, and all that kind of stuff going on. Yeah, let's go. All right, let's do the 905 check-in with the stars of the game for 905. Number one star is AJ Lawson. AJ Lawson had 10 and 19 shooting, so very similar to RJ was AJ for the Raptors 905. 4 of 6 from 3 even, just like RJ. 4 of 6 from 3, 4 of 6 from 3 for AJ. 1 of 1 at the free throw line, 8 rebounds for AJ Lawson, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, a +2 with 26 points in 42 minutes. So he played the majority of the game, but AJ was carrying them. My second star of the game is the other Canadian, Eugene Omoruyi. 37 minutes, 11 of 22 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 1 of 2 at the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 turnover, 25 points for Eugene, -3 in 37 minutes. And my final star of the game for the Raptors 905 game last night is Kennedy Chandler off the bench. Kennedy was a +15, which was the best plus-minus on the team. He had 5 of 10 shooting, which is nice, 50% shooting, 1 of 3 from 3, 2 of 3 from free throw, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 turnover, 15 points. So a nice solid game off the bench for Kennedy Chandler, trying to make up for falling into Ulrich's leg there. We saw the return to the lineup of Dylan Disu, who started the game for the 905 yesterday. 4 of 9 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 turnovers, 10 points for Disu. Evan Gilliard starting at point guard, 33 minutes, 4 of 9 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 2 rebounds, 8 assists, 4 turnovers, 9 points for him. And Charlie Brown, the other starter, 16 points for him in 32 minutes on 6 of 18 shooting with 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Yeah, the Raptors 905 needed a three-pointer near the end there, and nobody could buy a basket. The margin got too far away from them. And some of it is the very missing free throws at times earlier in the game that would have made up the margin, letting some easy shots from Westchester come down and transition. And all of a sudden, it's like a 3-point margin, a 4-point margin, and y'all are scrambling, and you can't just score 2-point baskets because that's easier for the 905. And you're really having to get a 3 crucially at the end, and you're cold, and you can't make it, and you lose by 3. And that's what happened. 109-106, the final score. Yeah, getting outscored in the fourth quarter, 28-19, was very bad, very, very bad. The new acquisition, C. James, made his debut for the 905 in 15 minutes, 2 points on 1 of 3 shooting. Did take 1 3, missed it. 3 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 turnovers, +3. Tyler Perry, 3 points, 1 3-pointer made with 1 assist. And Tyreek Key, 17 minutes, didn't score at all. That's a problem. Tyreek Key, you're a three-point shooter, you're a scorer, and the Raptors 905 needed you to score, and you got a goose egg running that cardio for 17 minutes. So that's tough, man. AJ Lawson, Eugene Roy, carrying the team as much as they can, and somebody else needs to step up. But they're shorthanded. They have no Jay Rooks. They have no Shams now, and they didn't even have Kaminsky. So they're starting Charlie Brown or Dylan Disu at center, and then their backup center now is Lacey James. So it's a tough place where Andrew Jones is right now with this team. As far as like, and this sucks because in some ways they have a losing record this month, and they had the lead in the whole entire G League Eastern Conference, and they're sliding. And now Westchester is very even with them in the standings. And now the Raptors 905 are like 4th or 5th in their conference. And that's because they're losing more than they're winning currently in this month. I think they've won 2 games in the month of February, and they've lost like 4. So they're 2-4 this month. That's no good. They got to get back on the winning side of things because they cannot slip too far in the rankings, in the standings. They really need to stay there. So yeah, there's your look at the box score for the 905. On the other side, real quick, I'll give a couple of kudos for the other team. The big score was TJ Warren, which is kind of a cheat code in the G League. I don't know why TJ Warren's playing in this game. He's a regular NBA player. 22 points for him on 5 of 18 shooting. A double-double for OKK, 21 points and 13 rebounds, but he had 6 turnovers himself. Jacob Toppin, 21 points for him, 8 of 16 shooting, and 20 points for Jamal Bay. The Westchester Knicks had 4 guys with 20 points yesterday, so that's pretty interesting. They didn't have their best players either, though. They were kind of playing with the bottom of the barrel of their G League team as well. So that's how it goes. All right, let's see what else is going on here with you guys in the comments. Let's see real quick. Okay, Stargate saying, I think people are being way too hard on Scotty. I believe he is under orders this season to play the way he's playing. He is just following instructions. The question is, should he be? Maybe he should ignore the instructions and go rogue. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, this is what I'll say. If we can only go by what we know of Scott from his whole entire playing career, and ever since he was a rookie, you know, he's a weird player because sometimes players that are like him with his skill level, they get really alpha and they really try and take over and be very dominant and controlling of the game. But that's not really his nature. It's kind of like he's a supplier instead of a guy who demands. And RJ's more like a demander, and he's more like a supplier. If there's supply and demand, and that's part of the problem. I think it's just naturally he wants to be a team player and let everybody succeed. And in some ways, he doesn't know exactly when to call his number and really take over. In some ways, I wish Darko and maybe Emmanuel and RJ and other leaders on this team would take Scotty aside and say, "Now's the time. Now's the time. Turn it on. Go now." Like, is anybody doing this with Scott? Because in some ways, if he has shown that he can, if he's concerting his effort towards trying to score with mid-range or anything, getting close to the basket and put it in, he's very successful. Very, very successful. If we want points, well, we could mine Scott doing that stuff. Now, the price is he's going to take more physicality. He could, be getting hit more and stuff like that. But that's just part of the NBA. And in some ways, that's what I'm wondering. Because at times I wondered he was settling for threes during a period of his career too much and not going inside too much. He shies away from the contact because, he's playing power forward center at times here, and he's getting a lot more physicality than if he was playing guard or something like that. And, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know why he faded away at the end of the game and was not a factor in any kind of way. Meanwhile, on the other side, their leaders are taking a step up and doing what they got to do. Bam, defensively. And then Tyler helping them fill it up and make points in overtime to get a good cushion and beat us in the overtime completely. And that's the time to do it right there. It's go time, Scott. And somebody maybe need to recognize when it's go time and maybe get him off his ass and say, "Yeah, Scott, it's time now." I mean, you think he'd know just the no, and you just do it. Or maybe Stargate's right, that he's under orders and he's just following orders on the down low. It does kind of feel like that to a degree. Because in some ways, it's simple to say, "Scott, why don't you just do it, man? We see you at other times. That turnaround Kawhi shot that you did in the middle of the game was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. And you could go get stuff like that whenever you want." In some ways, RJ is making a whole bunch of points during the game, and his shot selection and what he's doing is much more difficult than what you would be able to do and convert. You would have much easier high percentage shots, by creating your own shot with your physicality and your quickness combination. And RJ, he's purely willing himself to getting baskets against defense that he probably shouldn't be trying to go at, because you would have an easier shot selection, a higher percentage of making it with your bread and butter than his bread and butter. That's what I'm saying. At some point, we're going to figure this out, and Scotty will take the reins more and more. But maybe it's not in the plans for this year. Maybe that's what it is right there. I think that might be it. Yeah. Wayne's saying Scotty tries to take over, but it's when and how. Coming down without any ball movement and jacking up shots is not it. However, with Ingram in the lineup, the pressure should be less for making points. Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. And that's something we got to tell ourselves. The Heat were pretty healthy last night. If we're talking about competition and how good we'll be next year, the main player they were missing was Kevin Love last night. They had everybody else that they have on their team available otherwise and ready to play. Now, we add a starting center and our brand new player in this trade from this year, and that's going to uptick our team even better. And honestly, we were better than them last night. We were a better team. We were controlling the game much more better. And this in some ways shows that next year we're going to be better than Miami Heat, guys. Because think about it. We were missing two very important starters last night. One that hasn't even played for us yet, and we have no idea what he's going to add to our team. And one that is very proven that helps us win. And when we don't have him, we're usually losing. So that's something that I will look at as a minor moral victory from the game last night. Is two of our starters were out. You add them into the mix and you go against Miami next year, well, you're probably beating their ass is what I'm saying. Is what I'm saying right there. Yeah. Yeah, let's see what else y'all are saying here. Let's see. Trevor's saying Darko interview said Orlando Robinson, he listens. He listens. So you better listen. You ain't going to be in the league if you don't listen to your coach. That's right. Tristan saying Grady's nice dunk attempt and rolling three. Yeah, man, I wanted him to get that so bad. Wow. And Vince was all about it too. Like seeing Grady get up and get over and do that. Yeah, it's too bad. He did get fouled and he got the free throws. But, man, I wanted him to convert that dunk. I really, really did. That was a poster dunk. And it's too bad. It's too bad that he didn't get it to go in. It is what it is. Yeah, the rolling three was fun. Very, very much shooter's roll. Very much. Wayne's saying, Jonathan, from my view, deserves to be a 905 permanently. I'm still cold on Oshai because mainly on results. He's working hard, but I want to see more aggression to the rim and less facilitating. Well, there's three guys on our team that are absolutely fantastic at finishing at the rim. And Oshai, Chris, and RJ are those three guys. These guys are so good in transition. It's almost like if you're running in transition, you really want to make sure you get the basket, even with the other team there in even numbers with you. Give that ball to Oshai. He will go as a man in motion, and he will lay it in. In fact, one of his baskets last night was a very aggressive take to the basket and an easy layup. He just wasn't used very much last night. It could very well be, coming back from the All-Star break, different guys are in different biorhythms, and they have to ease back into playing in the regular season again because they've had 10 days off. And in some ways, each one of them is going to be in different places. And, well, the game wasn't conducive to Oshai being more offensively productive for some reason last night. But, he's awesome. He's awesome. I love it. I think I agree with you about Jonathan. The only thing I can say about this, though, is that we need him for depth at the position with Jakob out. Now, if Jakob comes back in the game tomorrow, maybe Jonathan doesn't need to play for Raptors for a little while because O-Rob's around. And, we'll figure it out that way. But I don't know. Sometimes depth is just really good. It'd be a luxury if they would just send Mobo down to 905 for most of the rest of the while 5 is playing. That would really help Andrew Jones. And in some ways, it might really help Mobo even further because I don't know. In some ways, it's tough because his energy work and what he does for the team is really good and valuable, and he is out there trying. But also at the same time, there were things about the game last night that we lost the game because of rookie mistakes. There were a lot of extra little mistakes that were made because of inexperience by our young players that we need to tighten up. And a lot of it was the first half turnovers. We won the second, third, and fourth quarters. We just played so badly in the first quarter. And with all the turnovers and rookie mistakes, that led to us not being able to come back by the end of the game. It's kind of crazy because we did. We really outscored them most of the game. It's just the first quarter was so bad, and we put ourselves in such a bad hole by not being able to score from the start. and they were hot, and they got out to like a doubling up of our points right away. It was like 26-13 in the first quarter. And that margin was never made up. That's actually where we lost the game. Was it right away? It's crazy. It's so crazy. Let's see. Fiercey saying once Brandon Ingram gets to play, more options to draw out final plays for the wins. He's a good closer, and adding him to Scotty, RJ, IQ, etc. is good. I agree with this. You know, he has a lot of experience closing games, more than anybody on this roster at this point. And he's very bona fide, like kind of scorer. Like I said, this is not that far off from Kevin Durant, this Brandon Ingram guy. And hopefully we'll see some stuff like what a Kevin Durant can do for his team and closing out victories for his team, as far as just being so dominant offensively with a very silky shot that nobody can block or stop because they're so long with such long arms, and they've worked so hard that they're just money. Easy money sniper, Slim Reaper. Yeah, Kingram of the North, notorious BI3. That's what I'm talking about right there. And this is totally true. In some ways, having Brandon available on the court means we have a better chance to win in close games, for sure. For sure. Let's see what else. Fiercely saying Lex having a hard time hating VC. Baby steps. No, listen, I don't want to hate Vince. I've never, ever wanted to hate Vince. I've loved Vince very, very deeply at many times in my life. I loved him when he was a draft pick. When we were working at the arena, I worked at Air Canada Center, and I was there for all the Vince Carter games. I was so much a huge Vince Carter fan. That's why it hurt me and hit me hard when the trade happened and he was a villain for the New Jersey Nets. It really, really, really hurt me because I was that with him. I was in Club 15. I had paid membership, and I was in Club 15, Vince Carter's fan club. I had the signed autograph picture. I had the shirt, Club 15. I was a diehard Vince fan when he played for us. And it really, really hurt. It really, really hurt. And, you know, the action for years was booing him and hating him because he was in another jersey, because he turned his back on the Raptors franchise. I never wanted to hate him. I wanted him to stay on the Raptors the whole time and just have an amazing career with us and always be good with us. The way things went so badly with him, it was traumatizing and bad for Raptors Nation. It was bad for him. And in some ways, this really is important that we heal like this. In some ways, part of it was I always thought that he thought he was too good for Canada. And that was part of the problem. And that in some ways, him being an American guy and very rah, 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 America, America, I thought that in some ways he didn't respect Toronto and Canada after he got traded to New Jersey. And that was part of that fueled my animosity towards him. And it was partly because I heard him doing announcing on ESPN, on US airwaves, and totally dissing the Raptors sometimes. Like he was a hater towards us before he healed things this year. And his broadcasting style was very anti-Raptors. And that was another reason why I held things against him. And I was really mad at him. I don't want to have a hard time hating him. I don't want to hate him. That's not natural for me. I want to love our Raptors icons. And I'm just glad that I'm getting a chance to circle back and heal this and get in a better place with him. Because in some ways, this has been up and down. And sure, you guys want to promote the villain Vince of New Jersey more and more against us. Yeah, that's going to annoy the hell out of me. And it will make me hate him more because you're reminding me of all the stuff that I hated about what happened. But if you want to regale me with the great visions of him in Oakland, the great visions of him hitting game winners in that purple Raptors jersey, playing alongside Muggsy Bogues and Charles Oakley and Alvin Williams, I'll embrace it and I'll love that. He's in the Hall of Fame now as a Raptor, and his jersey is in our arena. So I want to come to peace with this. And I love how he's coming correct now with his announcing and embracing as a Raptors alumni, being a positive person around our team. I would worry about Vince talking to our young players like Grady Dick and Scotty Barnes last year, but not this year now, because in some ways he's showing that I should trust him, that he does have good intentions to be helpful to the Raptors franchise to do better into the future. In some ways, I didn't trust him. I didn't trust him whether he actually had the best things at heart for the Toronto Raptors franchise. But I'm starting to see that it's a little bit better. I think there's a weird little renaissance going on where, you know, people like AC Earl, Tracy Murray, all the old school Raptors alumni are coming out of the woodworks for this season. And in some ways, these guys are not looking at the way that they were on the Raptors presently at that time. It's like, oh, we're on the expansion team. You know, it's fun and like, but it's weird. We're losing a lot. They see where we're at 30 years later, And they're really, really proud of being the originals. And they're really, really proud of their parts and things. People like Charlie Villanueva, people like John Wallace, people like Mike James, people like Rafer Alston. These are little bit Raptors players, but in some ways, these guys may actually, when they're out and about, say, yeah, I was on the Raptors. I'm proud of being on the Raptors. Because when I was on the Raptors are a great franchise. They're a champion franchise now. And there's something to it now. Old Celtics are proud of being old Celtics. Old Knicks are proud of being old Knicks. Old Lakers are proud of being old Lakers. We want this kind of culture built in our history as we grow as a young franchise in the NBA. 30 years in, we need this kind of stuff and mileposts that we go to as a franchise. And Vince is helping ensconce this by coming back in the fold and being a proper member of our alumni. And I love that. I mean, it really means a lot that he came to the game last night, the very first game after the All-Star break. He may not have been there for Dunkiversary, and he may have apologized and sent a message to fans for not being there. But honestly, I know why he wasn't, because he had to get ready for this big weekend, for the All-Star weekend, and the NBA had to prep him up and get ready because he was involved in a lot of stuff at Golden State last weekend. So, man, I'm in a really good place with Vince right now. And last night, his expert level of covering our game was a really big part of it. I'm a basketball nerd. And if Vince Carter is going to come in and share his expertise on our broadcast the way he did, like he did last night, he's going to win me over more and more. He doesn't even have to be regularly. Alvin needs to be the regular guy. It's just a guest appearance by Vince a couple times every year, top notch. And we should continue to do it, not just this year. They should try and bring Vince in on a semi-regular basis next year also on Sportsnet. It's just good. He's really, really good. Honestly, he's worth it. He's worth it, Sportsnet. So put him on there. He's really, really good. And we need him more and more involved in our team. That's what I'm saying. Trevor's saying the next episode of Raptors Delight is Sunday after the game with Kyle and DeMar. That'll be a great episode, hopefully. I hope that Sportsnet won't drop the ball on this one and somehow, some way, neg us or gaslight us with the coverage of the great bromance of Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. I mean, I don't see how they could, but I you know what? I could see them doing somehow, some way, some stupid stuff. Like, what if they do this whole thing where they focus on the episode of Kyle and DeMar as a LeBronto episode, and they only talk about how they failed against LeBron over and over again. See, that if they did that kind of bullshit, if Rodgers does that kind of bullshit, I'm be like, yeah, y'all haters, y'all fuck off. Fuck you, Sportsnet, and your bullshit Raptors Delight series. It's so stupid. If they go on that angle and they make a big deal out of LeBronto series, I'm going to give a two-finger salute to the producers of Raptors Delight. Absolutely the most horrible Raptors documentary series so far that I've ever seen. And I want to see We the North, prehistoric to historic. I want to see more Open Gym episodes, but I don't necessarily am not excited about seeing this episode tomorrow. I've seen the episode on Open Gym recently with Kyle and DeMar, and it's fantastic. That's enough for me. But let's see how they handle this. They better do it respectfully, or they're going to get a broiling critique on Monday morning from this guy right here. Yeah, they're going to get a critique possibly if they don't handle this right and with honor and respect for the great bromance of Lowry and DeRozan. That's what I'm going to say right there. I don't trust them, seriously. The way they've done the first two episodes, I do not trust them. Stargate saying, my issue is that the team seems to be trying to turn Mobo into Bam Adebayo, that quintessential small ball center. I don't think Mobo is that. I think he's more Scotty than Bam. Yeah, I don't see them trying to do him as Mobo as a Bam, but I do see what you're saying. He's like a mini Scotty. Those guys have a lot in common. And on a certain level, he is like a smaller strength Scotty with some of his skills. And there's nothing wrong with that. Once again, a lot of the benefits with Jonathan playing on the Raptors is the history of shared knowledge and experience with Scott. There's a lot of synergy that's insanely weird with them because they've just been childhood friends and they know each other inside out. You know, that's something like the Sedin twins for the Vancouver Canucks. These twin brothers, they grew up together. They're going to know each other where they're going to be on the court or on the rink when they're playing hockey. And this is one of those similar kind of things. So there is a little bit of a bonus for having Mobo up on the big club compared to 905 because of the Scotty Jonathan synergy that happens when they're out there. In fact, they're really good together defensively because they know how to cover each other's backs when they're both the two bigs out there for the Raptors. I have a lot of confidence when they're out there. So it's a weird thing. You know, Jonathan's going to be Jonathan. Everybody wants to compare players to players, but I think you're right as far as like he's more like Scotty. I don't know if they necessarily want to make him into a Bam, though. I don't know. I don't know if that's exactly right, that part of your comment. Smooth saying Jalen McDaniels signed a 10-day with the Wizards. That's great. I'm happy for young Jalen McDaniels, but well, look at where you're going. Poor Chris Middleton. Of course, he played his former team last night with the Wizards, and he didn't score a whole lot, and they lost. It's got to be sad. And of course, Kyle Kuzma had a big game against his former team on the Bucks side. Yeah, I don't know. The Bucks are in a weird place with Bobby Portis getting suspended, and things aren't totally smooth sailing for them in some ways. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with them. Jalen McDaniels is a wizard. Okay, this is what happens when you don't take your life seriously. You end up a wizard. You don't take your life seriously, you're on the Wizards. Andrew Polander's here. Good to see Andrew once again in the chat. How are you doing today, Andrew? When in doubt, remember Jakob's words that it's not about winning this year. Yeah, I don't know if that's exactly how he said it, but at the beginning of the year, in some ways, it's about development. It's about teaching the rookies, and I get that. But once again, we're not a tank endorsing channel. I want to try and win as many games for the rest of the year at the best of our ability. I stand with Scotty in his statement this week. And, we're not leaning into this as being like, oh, I'm okay with losing. No. Raptor Freaks are diehard positive fans, and we want our team to win as much as possible. And we don't want to be like the Sixers and like get used to losing. That's a horrible, horrible action to get used to. So I'm mad about losing last night. That's why I wear a purple hat. And we should have won last night. We should have won. Andrew, good to see you. Fiercely saying, Davion's so intense, he inadvertently hopped on Robinson at some point. Giddy up. Yeah, that was funny. But, that was just, he's closing out, and Robinson stopped real quick. Yeah, and that was a foul. And they called it. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't impressed with the refs. They were not helpful to us. They were very much not giving us home court advantage in some ways. And, I don't like James Williams. And I'm starting to less and less like Ray Acosta. I really, really am. I was kind of no opinion about Ray Acosta, but I'm really starting to see he does have a bias towards the Raptors. He does. He has a bias against them, I should say. Yeah. Trevor's saying, fiercely, they've been dating since last year. It was on a down low. People have been seeing them everywhere. Yeah, I was pretty sure I heard about them together at the Olympics last year. So that makes sense. Let's see. Where are we in the chat? It jumped ahead. Let me get back. Oh, I see Nako's here. Let's see. Nako's saying there were a few defensive plays on Bam from Scotty I really like. Yes. And I know what you're talking about, Gerald. There was that one stand Scotty took on Bam where he played him absolutely perfect and absolutely shut him down and did not let him score. And that's really good because honestly, Bam's interesting because he's not really an offensive player. He's more a defensive player, but he has good offense. That's the thing. At this point in his career, he's really honed his craft and gotten better and better with the way he scores. And the funny thing is that it's not really near the basket. He does a lot more spinning stuff out around in the mid-range and away from the basket. He's more likely to kind of do a thing where he moves in and then comes back out and shoots over the guy, then kind of just bowls through into the basket. And, I think some of this is being around Team USA, like on the Olympic team last year, he's around such high-level talent like LeBron and them. And in some ways, they don't need him to be totally set like what he is on the Heat for Team USA. He can get out of his wheelhouse and kind of have more fun and do more things. And in the Olympic play, you'll see Bam Adebayo do some things on offense. You're like, holy crap, this dude is really skilled. And while some of that was seen last night early in the game, Bam had some amazing shots that were unstoppable. We played good defense on him, and he still scored. So now with that in mind, Scotty actually was able to shut him down for a couple possessions. And there was one in particular that was absolutely impressive to me. I was like, man, Scott is really getting better and better at defense. Look at what he just did to Bam. He stopped him. It was awesome. I know exactly when you're talking about, Nako. Smooth saying Miami's going to struggle the rest of the way, in my opinion. Cold reality for them. I agree. The settings were good for them last night, but that's mainly because the big Austrian wasn't out there. That Austrian guy's out there, they lose last night. They absolutely lose. There's no overtime. The Raptors beat them by 10. If Jakob Poeltl plays last night, I'm sorry. That's exactly right there. Fiercely saying, wasn't Coach Bud's defense top tier? Could it be that the Suns players aren't executing it correctly? Well, the gripe out there is, and Kevin's been very public about it, and it's out in the open, and the fans are agreeing with Kevin, and they're turning on the coach. they're turning on Mike Budenholzer already. In fact, a lot of the Phoenix Suns fans are saying they want him fired and they want to hire Mike Brown immediately. Now, the thing is, Budenholzer has a system that he wants to run with them, and it's not naturally taking to the Phoenix Suns roster. The players are not used to it, and they don't like it. In some ways, it's an aggressive defense where they have to work, and these guys are lazy and they don't want to do it. And in some ways, it's not working because they're not doing it correctly all out. So that's the problem. It's not working. And the players are saying, well, it just doesn't fit our player types or who we are as players. So they're being a little bit defiant. And like Mike Budenholzer is saying, well, I want you guys to do this because we'll do better if we do this. But they're not doing it. They're not complying. So it's looking like the coach's system is stupid and it doesn't work because the players are rejecting it. So that's where they're at. And with this in mind, we'll play them tomorrow. With that in mind, this is what's happening. So there's a mutiny with the Suns currently right now against their coach. And, well, we'll see that. In some ways, that'll be a nice dichotomy between the great, happy, buying in, completely listening to Darko, doing everything to a T that he's asking on our side with what's happening with the Suns currently with their roster and their coach. Yeah, very interesting. Not going to say Miami's missing a Jimmy Butler quality player. That's funny. I think Andrew's going to be fine there. In some ways, it was very interesting to see him kind of blossom finally, helping them because he hadn't shot well for them since he showed up. And he really did have his best game with the Miami last night. Stargate saying Eugene with the Patrice Roberts reference. Any Soka fans in the chat caught that reference. The Patrice Roberts, Soka. Yeah, they had some good music at this game last night. Lots of fun, lots of vibes, but it's still not exactly the same. Like it wasn't the same kind of Caribbean night as it was last year. Like it feels like it was more all out. Why aren't they feeding the broadcast crew? Where's the rotis? Where's the food? So they start eating while they're doing the call. Like I want to hear that. I want to hear Alvin Williams with his mouth full trying to talk. There's 3 of them. They could take turns, tag in and out. Let them eat during the game. Let them eat and let the Raptors eat on the court, like in scoring, and let them eat during the broadcast, eating that great food. In some ways, it ain't right until Kayla Gray's talking about rum cake or something like that, right? Where was that action for the game last night? That's what I was wondering. Yeah, most saying, good morning, Raptor Free crew. It was such a good battle. Glad they took it to overtime. Not a Tyler Hero fan. Shaking my head. Good vibes on Caribbean night. Yeah, the vibes seem good for all the in-game ops stuff. But, man, the crowd really was flat. And they did not cheer this game right, Mo. I was saying this earlier, that they were way too quiet. That overtime should have been so loud in there. And they just dropped the ball. The crowd absolutely disappointed me last night. And they were very, very bad Friday night crowd. For a Caribbean night and a Friday night and a close game and an overtime, they absolutely sucked. So fail for the crowd. I know it's not your fault. I know it's not Adriana's fault. But, yeah, the crowd just really disappointed me last night. I heard them chanting defense maybe twice in the game, at the end of the first half and a little bit in the fourth quarter. But that's it, and not consistently enough or loud enough. So, fans, y'all let down the Raptors last night if you went to the game last night, other than the 2 people that I just mentioned, Mo and Adriana, because Adriana was trying. She was out there, and people were staring at her like she was a bad person because she was trying to cheer for the Raptors during the game. Shame on y'all for staring at Adriana, for her trying to cheer for the Raptors. Shame on you, Raptors fans, who shame other people that are trying to cheer during the game. Don't look at people. You start chanting too, because that's your job as a fan. And if you don't think that's your job, well, you don't have no business coming down the game. You're going to sit down there, go ahead and go to the Princess of Wales Theater or Elgin Theater and go watch some dinner theater. Go watch The Lion King or something like that instead. Do you want to be quiet in the audience and just sit there and be polite? Well, we don't want you down at Scotiabank Arena. We want loud, rabid Raptor streaks. You can come down there and add energy and noise to the game. And y'all failed last night. The crowd absolutely could have been a factor to help the Raptors win this game last night, and they dropped the ball. And that's sad. I hate that so much. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Free crew. Happy for Norman's business venture. That Miami game is less experience about how to win, closing out games. Yeah, we had less experience on how to win. Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, they've been in the finals how many times now? Those 2 guys have been in the NBA finals a couple times now in their career. So they've gone to very high levels, and they understand these things better than even RJ and Scotty. So that's a part of it right there. Good to see the coach, Cool Cat, on a Saturday morning in a reaction stream. Not gonna stand, oh, the Denzel Curry and Kendrick mashup that Denzel Curry plays at his concerts. Yeah, that's what Chris posted on his Instagram. A Denzel Curry mashup with Kendrick. Yeah, he likes that. He likes that. Mo's saying, wow, 3-point loss for 905. Yeah, they crumbled. They crumbled, Mo. They were up 85-65 in the third quarter, and they crumbled. They let the Westchester Knicks get back in there. Some of it is that they didn't have the full roster. They really, really had to rely on people like Dylan Disu and Tyreek Key and Tyler Perry more because nobody was there to play. And without Kaminsky, man, now if Frank had been there, he was away for personal reasons. I don't know why. He's not hurt. Maybe he just couldn't come back from the All-Star break right away because of something, whatever. But yeah, not having Kaminsky, not having Chomshay, and not having any of the rooks from the regular team. Like, I feel like Mobo would have helped a lot. And they didn't even play Battle last night. So why the hell wouldn't you just have Battle go with the 905? I mean, you're not going to play him. Jared Rhoden, another one, was with the Raptors in Scotiabank Arena. He would have totally helped make up that 3-point loss in Westchester last night if Jared Rhoden was still with the 905. So these are the kind of decisions with personnel that kind of bug me, especially if Darko understands that he knows his rotation the day before. Well, why don't we divert guys to their best place where they're going to get the most minutes? Because Jamison Battle and Jared Rhoden sat on the bench and got 0 playing time. They could have been in Westchester getting 20, 30 minutes and helping the 905 win. So maybe there needs to be a little bit more organization with the Raptors and understanding where the players should be between the 905 and the Raptors club as far as where they're going to get the minutes to play on that night. Because Battle not playing last night is a waste. He didn't play at least play him against the Heat. No, he didn't play. Well, he should have been in White Plains instead of Toronto last night. That's what I say about that. I want more sussing out of this in a logical way by the people who decide this, whether it's Masai, Bobby, Darko, Luke Wynn, Andrew Jones, whoever is deciding who's playing on which team. Y'all need to do this better. It's better this year than it was in the 2 years of Eric Curry, but it's still sometimes there's opportunities like last night that don't make no sense to me. Better team management between the two teams, the G League team and the NBA team. Please do that. Yeah. Stargate saying, I think Grady should watch film on guys like Dan Marley, Bobby Sura, and although he's a bigger player than Grady, Mike Miller as well. It would serve him well. Well, the thing that last night was interesting to me is that matchup of Hero versus Grady. A lot of people said this when Grady came in the league as a rookie. The comparison might be Tyler Hero for Grady. And I'm like, no, he's not like Tyler Hero. Really? Tyler Hero is really good. You think Grady's like Tyler Hero? I think he's just a shooter. I was wrong. This comparison of Grady to Tyler Hero actually may be more apt than ever right now. In some ways, I could see it, especially with him attacking the rim and trying to throw it down and doing certain stuff. He's just got to continue to get reps, more experience, more time. And who knows? Maybe at some point, Grady Dick is elevating his game to be more on the level of Tyler Hero, an all-star and a 3-point shootout champion. So we'll have to see. I would have said at the beginning of Grady's career, no, his ceiling is lower than Tyler Hero, but I don't think that's true anymore. And that's something that I could say about that. Forget about all those guys you named from back in the past. Just talking about the guy last night that he was facing up against. Trevor saying, Raptors fans, don't get mad if you do not see Ingram or Yak for the rest of the remaining games. Yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I know for sure with Jakob it won't happen. Brandon is up in the air. Brandon is up in the air. We don't know if he's going to show up at the end of the season or not. I think he will, though. I think he will. I think that he does need to get a little bit of a primer and an orientation playing with these guys just a little bit. But I think Jakob's going to be back tomorrow. Let's not get it twisted, Trevor. They're not trying to keep Jakob out. He's healthy. He practiced a couple days ago. He was just barely a scratch to the lineup yesterday. He could have maybe played. It maybe have been calculated. But Jakob's probably going to play tomorrow, just so you know. He's either going to come back in the next game or the game after that. If it's not tomorrow, he'll be back in the next game after that for sure. Cody's here. Good to see Cody Willis back in the chat today. Glad to see you back, man. RJ's foul at the end of the game regulation seemed like he was tanking. Thoughts? He seemed like he was tanking? The foul that, I was really happy to see RJ get recognition from a not very friendly crew of Williams and Acosta and Myers. Getting that foul trip to the line in the crunch time to get those 2 free throws. Most of the time we're seeing our guys like Grady and Scotty and RJ go in the lane and they're getting hammered and there's no respect. There's no foul calls. Chris Boucher gets fouled all the time down low, and they don't call jack shit. And well, actually seeing in crunch time when the game's close, them rewarding RJ with free throws was actually really happy. That made me happy because he deserved them at that point. And in some ways, that's them recognizing he's been going hard all game. And now we will finally give you free throws when it counts. Alas, we still didn't win. But those 2 free throws that they gave RJ were a nod to saying, okay, they're respecting RJ for his physicality and aggressiveness trying to attack the rim. So I don't know if he's not trying to lose on purpose. RJ, no. I mean, you don't play all out like that. You can't fake that. There's only one mode for RJ, and you see it on the court. It's unabashedly, truthfully it. That's it right there. Yeah. Stargate saying, I hope Davion circles back and signs with the Raptors. Even if it's for less money, he fits and provides a specific skill set that nobody else in the team currently provides. Shed tries, but not yet. Yeah, in some ways, Shed has the ability to grow into it. He may never be that level of defensiveness that Davion is, but he might be a nice balance between offense and defense. He may be better offensively in that way. I think that Davion circling back is not going to happen, guys. I think that he's probably going to stick around in Miami because it's a good fit. And, I think also the Raptors trading him away, they didn't have to necessarily do this. I think it's partly not just letting room for Jamal to grow into being the backup point guard, but also on the down low, guys. I think that Davion was a little bit too much. Let's just put it that way. In some ways, a lot of people have said all year that Davion doesn't shut up. He's completely always talking. If he's on the plane or anything like that, they are just hearing it from him. So it could very well be on the down low. Certain people around the team were like, yeah, if Mitchell goes, that'd be great because he won't shut up. So I don't know if he's coming back. We love Davion. I think he's exactly one of the best defenders at his position in the NBA. And I would love for him to be back on the Raptors. But if I'm reading the tea leaves, I don't think he's coming back. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Bobby and Masai really valued him. They would have tied him up and kept him here for a while, but they let him go. And there's a reason for that. And we need to understand that. I know everybody likes to be reunited. I'd love for Dennis Schroeder to come back to Toronto right now. I may be one of the only few people who would love that. So Randolph saying, Saturday blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. Are you being pushed to your limit? It is the perfect time to evaluate your strength. You are much stronger than you even knew. I love this. This is a very encouraging words of wisdom and blessings from Randolph. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families. That's right. Like if you're under stress right now, and a lot of people are, dig in deep to that reserve and just go even further. And you might be surprised at just how very, very strong and durable you are. In some ways, you don't want to get used to that, though. In some ways, a society that demands you to be in that mode all the time is not a just or right society, because we should all live comfortably in an okay meeting of our needs, basic human needs. It should be easy for everybody to get that. But there's hoarders of greed and wealth at the top that absolutely to be disgustingly so crazy with their amount of wealth. There has to be a bottom where there's a lot of people in destitute, bad places. And that sucks. We could be more humanitarian overall, and there could be less of an income gap. There could be more equality in wealth in this world, but it's very much a chosen, disgusting psycho system by a bunch of very, very sociopathic people at the top. And that's what we need to do, is try and carve out a living and a life for ourselves. And some people just want basic needs. They're not asking for anything too crazy. And even that in this world today is very hard to carve out. So stay strong. And if you can, hopefully you can tap into those extra reserves and show yourself how strong you can be. But honestly, it's not right to push people in their lives so far down that they have to live in that reserve scramble all the time, 24/7. It's not good for their health. And it's not good for their stress. So, yeah, words of wisdom from Randolph Phillips are appreciated, and blessings once again to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families. Yeah, there you go. You're saying KD saying fans keep complaining about everything, yet he seems to always get to the point of contention when the teams he plays in takes away from his legacy and talent. Yeah, Kevin's weird. He's in some ways I agree with him on a lot of things, but also in some ways I don't agree with his career and how he's went about it. I feel like he's half-assed his last part of his career. There's a difference between Kevin Durant before the Raptors championship and the difference after the Raptors championship. And I think that's really the pivotal point where he changed. Even in that series against us, he was crazy good when he was healthy and shooting some crazy shots against us. But then he got hurt. He was out. We won the championship. And ever since then, Kevin's kind of half-assed his career. He really has. Whether it was in Brooklyn and now in Phoenix, he's just half-assing shit. And in some ways, he's part of the problem. His teams are never going to go anywhere. I believe him and LeBron are similar, that in some ways they just don't do things like they did when they were younger at this point. But in some ways, people still are trying to rely on them to be those guys that they were when they were younger. And they're just not. Whether they're older, whether they're just not doing it. In some ways, there's a weird thing about them that isn't happening. I mean, I'll say Kevin. There's a weird thing about Kevin. I won't say LeBron, where there's some things that he should be doing at this point in his career because he's a veteran and knowledgeable. Like he should be smart old man kind of stuff like Kyle Lowry's doing. You're not as good physically. Your athletics are not as good. You're not as spry. You're not as young. So you should have psychological and mental things that you're doing and winning the game that way. And Kevin doesn't even do that. He doesn't even care about that. He's just going through the motions. He's just out there running around. And in some ways, he's a waste. He's been a waste. I really feel like since the Raptors won their championship and defeated his team in the Golden State Warriors. So there's something weird with him. His legacy and his talent are very strange. I agree with him. The fans are never, ever happy no matter what. And he's exactly right. They're going to complain about anything every time. And he's exactly right on that. But in some ways, I don't agree with him on how he has half-assed his career in his later part of his career. Because he really has. He should have been doing way, way better. In some ways, the failures of the Brooklyn Nets during his period of time there, a lot of it's on his shoulders, honestly. A lot of it's on his shoulders. 10:58, W Stream fam. 10 minutes to go on the stream if I want 2 hours. Let's see where we can get to by then. Wayne's saying, Davion is a young player. It doesn't make sense, him compromising his money. Miami's coach is excellent for him, and it fits his style. Masai did him a favor in that destination. I completely agree with all of this. Yeah, he's a good fit for us, but, Miami's a team that's like us, and he's a good fit on their team also. In fact, he is a very big part of kind of a epitome of kind of heat culture kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think that Bobby Masai did a very big favor to Mitchell in landing him in Miami. Yeah, and then meanwhile, the Bucks did Chris Middleton after 12 years of service for the Milwaukee Bucks so wrong in trading him to Washington. That was horrible. That's like the opposite right there. Yeah. I think that, like I said, once again, we don't live on the moon. We don't understand the thinking of Bobby and Masai when they're thinking about the roster, the pieces of the salary cap, and then also like long term. And Davion, in some ways, like he said recently, he said that he knew he wasn't going to be in Toronto for that long. He said this in an interview. He's like, I wanted to make the best of my time in Toronto, but I knew kind of like a bounce back relationship. You break up with somebody you've been with long term, you have a little bounce back relationship, and then you find the next person you're going to be with. That's kind of what we were. We were the bounce back for Davion, a little intermediator step between the Sacramento Kings to get to the Miami Heat. There's nothing wrong with that. Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster were up front with Davion Mitchell and said, we were probably not going to keep you here for that long. So he knew the drill. He knew this was happening. And that's why he's not that upset about it. So Wayne's saying that Raptors front office is genius work. With Ingram, we have a bucket maker, Scotty, a lockdown specialist with offensive chops, RJ, Jakob, IQ, and Grady and Walter are secondary or third and tier buckets. We're good. We've got a lot of offensive scoring talent. And Brandon Ingram is maybe one of the most potent offensive weapons that we have on this team. But yeah, you list those guys. All those guys are high quality scorers in different ways. And I'm excited about them. Grady and Walter on the down low coming up, young guns on our team. These guys are going to be good. Very, very good. More and more. And they're going to be a big part of why the Raptors get higher up in the standings, because they grow and become more contributing to the overall picture for the Raptors. Jacoby in particular. Yeah, Grady's already doing it to a certain level. Fiercely saying, Phoenix fans starting to become like Laker Nation, depending for coaches to be fired, etc. Oh, well, their problem. Yeah, they're just echoing Kevin. In some ways, they like Kevin. In some ways, they're a little worried because it seems like all their big stars might want to get out of there. Matashiba's idea to collect big three of Beal, Booker, and Durant has been a failure. Once again, I'm going to say this. Anybody who's trying to build a big three with Kevin Durant is going to fail. And especially if you're going to put a player that's duplicitous with Devin Booker, like Bradley Beal is the other one. Bradley Beal is a fail too. And, well, both of them should probably leave, and Phoenix should probably start over around Devin Booker once again. That's really where it is. I mean, Kevin publicly said last week he doesn't want to play Phoenix next year. He said that very, very publicly this week. So it's a weird thing. I don't know, Phoenix fans. You are so standing behind Kevin, but he might sell y'all out and leave this summer anyway. In some ways, Coach Budenholzer is a good coach. You may not like him right now, but maybe the odd man out, the one that doesn't really fit with everything, is actually the player and not the coach. We'll have to see. Classic card coming up very quick. I'm going to run down these last couple comments and we'll do it. Smooth saying the Suns need to trade both Booker and Durant, replenish draft capital. There's no choice. It's weird because Booker's really been their franchise player this whole time. And he really has built up his play game. And in some ways, they want to see the reap the rewards of all the time invested in bringing him up. But you might be right. They could get some really interesting return for him at this point from somebody around the league. If I was going to keep anybody in Phoenix, I would keep Devin Booker still, and I'd let those other two guys go. Bradley Beal, man, get rid of your no trade clause. You need to go, bro. He won't. He's holding them hostage. Bradley Beal's messing them up. He is. In some ways, he messed them up from getting Jimmy Butler. They're exactly right. But it doesn't mean that Phoenix fans should be attacking his family in the stands and talking trash to his wife. That's not right. Nameless saying, I'm going to pretend I'm outraged at last night's performance. That was terrible. That's terrible. Can you believe we almost beat Miami with a bunch of rookies in barbecue's first game of the season together? This is BS. That's not the first game of barbecue together, but it's like the 8th game that they played together from last year to this year. Yeah, tomatoes, huh? Tomatoes. Darko was clearly outmatched against Spoelstra. Yeah, I know you're kind of putting on a show here, and you're not being totally serious. But yeah, there's something happened weird in that overtime. Why were we so flat? Why could we not do anything right? Was it really just that the Miami Heat just had such a good defensive presence that the Raptors just could not penetrate the basket and get to the hoop, and we were just getting stymied on the outside and just passing the ball around and jacking up a three that wasn't that good instead of getting to the basket and getting a high percentage shot like I was hoping they would? That's what they really needed to do, but they couldn't get into the paint. And the Miami defense was like that at the end of the game, man. Nameless saying, let me go out and say this before anybody else does. Darko is probably one of the best coaches in the league, probably top 3 already. Now take it and go. Free financial advice. Is there a fan duel we do with this? Where we going to bet on this and we can get the payoff at some point? I don't even know how they do this, man. Yeah, I don't know. I'll agree with you. I like this pro Darko comment right here, Nameless. And I love it. It's not fruition yet. It has not come true, but I think down the road you'll be exactly right, and everybody will see it, and they'll be glad that we stuck with Coach Darko and didn't just discard him like a lot of people want to discard coaches so quickly. You got to let them cook. You got to let them simmer. You got to let them have time. That's what it's got to be right there. Yeah. Let's see. Name is saying when the Raptors are winning 50-plus games in 2 years or less, everybody will forget they were trying to get the man fired for a period of time. Tutti scammy. There you go, my paisano. Grazie. My paisano. Thank you. Hasta la vista. I don't know. I think that's Spanish, right? I don't know. Fiercey's got the star eyes. All right, let's do the classic card. Tutti schema. That's right. All right, here we go. All right, we got another classic card from that Upper Deck set. First person to write in the full name answer will get the Raptor Freak Trivia points for today. Full name answer. There you go. Here it is. And this is another former Supersonic that actually is still involved in the NBA right now. If you know which one of the Supersonics this is, who's that behind him? Is that Jerome Kersey? Yes, that is. It looks like Jerome Kersey is behind him, so I can recognize the player behind him. Can you tell me who the player in the front is, though? There you go. Tutti Schema. Yes. Which one is it? Who is that? This guy is just like Michael Cage. Let's put it that way. He's in broadcasting still in the NBA. He does do broadcasting for one of the teams. In fact, I should say maybe we'll see him tomorrow, actually. I say actually the team he's broadcasting for is the one that's coming here tomorrow. So that's a lot of good clues right there. If you know the broadcaster for the team we're playing tomorrow, this is the man right here. He's a color commentator, just like Michael Cage is for Oklahoma City Thunder. This guy is a color commentator also. Nobody's getting this so far. This is interesting. Y'all should know who this is. Come on now. This guy's a pretty well-known player. And in some ways, is Reggie not here right now? Reggie should know this right off the bat. All right. Anybody going to guess this? I'll start giving clues on the name. I don't want to do this thing. Like, we have 1 minute till 2 hours. You guys got to get this in the next 60 seconds. Somebody's got to start scoring, guessing, stuff like that. Nobody knows who this is. 10 seconds in, only 45 seconds to go on the clock before 2 hours. And I need an answer. Nobody has even tried yet. Well, come on, just take a shot and I'll give you a guess. Who are we playing tomorrow, Fiercey? I've just been talking about it. Who have been talking about just now? Who's mutinied on his coach? And we're talking about whether he's washed, and he hasn't been no good since the championship of the Raptors. What team is that? This guy's the color commentator for that team. Wow, you are like 3 steps behind. There's only 20 seconds before 2 hours, guys. Holy crap. If this was a game show, y'all would be getting a bang, and you would fail, and you wouldn't get it. Come on. Somebody's got to know who this player is. Where's Isaac Campbell? Where's Slug Deasy? Where is Smooth? Where is Kareem? Where are the big hitters on the classic card? Because nobody's going to get this. I'm going to be very sad. It's after 2 hours now. Holy crap. Nobody's even going to try and guess one. Look at his face. Seriously, this is unacceptable. Somebody needs to just put in a name. I don't even care if you don't have to worry about whether you're right or not. There's no time limit. You can guess. Yeah, you found it on Google who we're playing? Well, that's not even close to what we're doing. Of course, we're playing the Phoenix Suns tomorrow. All right, I'm gonna give this to the other people. It's Mischief finally guessed. Y'all need to hit live if you're not live, by the way. It is not Sam Perkins. But yeah, Sam Perkins did play for the Sonics, so it's not a bad guess, but that is not Sam Perkins. Look at this. Finally, people are showing up. John Bloom? No. Stillman got it. It's Eddie Johnson, guys. This is fast Eddie Johnson, 3-point specialist for the Seattle Supersonics, played for the Suns later, one of the greatest shooters of his era. He played for the Kings also. He was averaging about 20 points per game out of Illinois, and he is also the color commentator for the Phoenix Suns currently. He will be here tomorrow calling the game for the Suns broadcast as their Alvin Williams. So that is Eddie Johnson. Stillman's going to get it. Stillman has not gotten a classic card yet. I think this is the first time Stillman's gotten a classic card this year. So I'm very happy to see Stillman step up and come out of the woodworks. Honestly, good to see you, Stillman. And we'll put him down. And you know what? Because it was so difficult. I'm going to give you 200 points. It shouldn't have been that hard, though, guys. Come on now. Yeah, Ricky Pierce is another guy who played for Sonics, but it's not Ricky Pierce. It is a different 3-point shooter named Eddie Johnson. That's right. That's your first Raptor Freak trivia point ever. Fantastic, Stillman. Bravo. All right, let's do the wrap-up 1 minute after 2 hours. Real quick. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. My stars of the game for the Raptors game are RJ Barrett, Orlando Robinson, and Emmanuel Quickley. Those are my 3 stars. Honorable mention to Jacoby Walter is what I'll say on that. My stars of the game for the 905 game, AJ Lawson, Eugene Omoruyi, and Kennedy Chandler. Pretty good off the bench after with some scoring and stuff. They have a new thing on ESPN about the top 15 picks in the draft and what they need to work on. You can go look at that. That may be interesting to look at. They're talking about Malak and different people like that on there. Let's see what else we got on Blue Skies. Is there any breaking news that I need to maybe talk about as far as with a team or anything like that? It doesn't look like it. Nope, nothing really going on there as far as that. Raptors Reddit. Anything interesting here right now? Not really. It's kind of like without Pirtle, wins are hard to come by. Yes, we know this. Yes. What other Toronto sports team do Raptors fans overlap the most with? This was asked 2 hours ago on Raptors Reddit. And they're saying, which is the second team most likely? It's definitely the Jays. Yeah, it's the Blue Jays. That's exactly what it is. A lot of people have zero interest in hockey is what they're saying here. Yeah, I think Raptors Nation overlaps the Blue Jays Nation the best, partly because, think about it, the NHL has 8 teams in the Canada, so they're divvied up. And more like the Raptors, the Blue Jays are nation's team for Canada. So there's Blue Jays fans across this country, just like there's Raptors fans. So the answer is the Blue Jays. That is the team that we're most like. Y'all, let's give a big shout out and a birthday to our coach today, guys. It's Darko's birthday today, guys. And hopefully he heard the nice words that Nameless said about him earlier from eavesdropping on our chat. So I'm going to give Nameless a dunk for being a good paisano towards our Serbian coach, Darko Rajakovic, on his birthday today. So Nameless, you're going to get a dunk. You're at 18 points for speaking him up, and you didn't even know it was his birthday. So there you go. Darko, how old is Darko today? Darko is, I got to remember he's younger than me. Darko is currently 46 today. He's 46 today. Darko turns 46 today, guys. 46-year-old Darko on his birthday today. That's the day. You guys have a Raptor Freak fantasy team? Get your team set up for today. There you go. There you go. There you go. Okay, here we see fuck faces in here. We're gonna get rid of him right away. Because then that's the real name of him right there. There you go. We're gonna put him, hide him out. Yeah, I don't even know why he's in here. What a loser. What a fucking loser. What a traitor too. You're a traitor to your country, and I hope you feel good about that. Canada is the best country in the world, and you're turning your back on them. You sorry, sad piece of shit. And you know what? Whatever you're doing here, you're such a loser, man. You should go on with your life. I've moved on with my life. Honestly, I don't have anything to do with you. And you continuing to come here and doing this shows just how much of a loser you are, that you can't go on with your life and go do something else. Don't you have like some mildew to clean up or some big pile of shit to cart on a cart somewhere? Why the fuck are you here all the time? Seriously, I don't like you, bro. And I don't want to talk to you ever again. You're persona non grata. So you showing up under new names and coming back here, man, it's just pathetic, honestly. And I'm not even going to give attention to your dumbass comments because your stance on things are brainwashed by MAGA and stupid ass shit. And it's so sad that somebody like you, a hardworking guy that's probably a good dude otherwise, it can be so stupid and fall into a Nazi plot like MAGA. You know, you're pathetic. You're really pathetic, man. Vincent Askew, that's what, if you're way behind, bro. Why did you put that there? Why'd you put Vincent Askew? Yeah, that's not it right there. Stillman's saying the clue gave it away from me. Oh, that he does the color commentary for Phoenix. That's good stuff right there. And Fiercey saying, have a great day, fam. Head into our first game in Quebec City. I want Fiercey Jr. to kick butt in originals today and have a fantastic game today. MJ, always good to see you there. You like the Reddit segment? It's pretty good. It's not bad. It's not bad. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me today. Raptor Freaks, you're awesome. I appreciate all y'all. And have a great Saturday. And we'll be back tomorrow for the preview for the Suns game. I'll have all the latest stuff. Mike's putting in Scott Skiles. The Skiles. Where is this coming from? Why is this just random name, random basketball players? What is this, Mike? Good to see you. Project Truth always, Mike. Let's go, Raptors. That's right. Mo's saying W stream, W vibes. Go Raptors for life. Love you, Mo. Love you so much, super fan. And all love for you guys. And fuck you, idiot, coming in here at the end under your name. Yeah, you're an idiot, man. I can't believe this guy. Let's go, Raptors.